you gonna do? And I can't stop thinking about you, but what you gonna do? And you know I'm feeling good like that, so what you gonna do? And I can't stop thinking about you, but what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Just another one hit wonder, that's what everyone sees. Ain't it funny how you wanna be the best, but you can't even get up and get dressed? Wasted, face it, you're never gonna make it. Rockstar, you won't get far. And I know you're confused. People tell you you can be anything you wanna be. Wanna go to outer space, superhero in the streets. Oh man, what a lie, what a time to be alive. How have I survived? Life's a battlefield, 1974.
company, stop blowing up my phone. You don't get the things that I've been through, and I don't have the time to lay it all in front of you. And you think that you wanna save me. You don't know it, baby, why you do this? I got this under control. You think you do, but you really don't know that I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. I'll save Baby, I just wanna be alone. I don't need your company, stop blowing up my phone. You don't get the things that I've been through, and I don't have the time to lay it all in front of you. And you think that you wanna save me. You don't know it, baby, why you do this? I got this under control. You think you do, but you really don't know that I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. No, I don't need a savior. You can't be my savior. I'll save myself. I'll save myself. I stand back and I watch you explore in perfect visions like I've been here before. Falling faster, I try to ignore. I see you, I see you. I'll let you drag me to hell if you hold my hand. Tell me this is real and it will never end. This is not what I came here to find. Memories show that I'm out of time. See a shadow, don't know if it's mine, but I see you, I see you, I see you, I see Way too many faces in the crowd, but I think that I see you. One too many days got me changing up the way that I need you. Now we're both at a bar, acting like it's not hard, trying to feel something different. Talk to somebody new, kinda wish it was you, kinda numb to the feeling. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months and I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Not that you're mine. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Laying on my floor, thinking about all the things that we've been through. From 24/7 to pretending like I never met you. No, it's all for the best, cause I know we're a mess every time we're together. Going out of my mind, and I wish I could lie, tell you that it gets better. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months where I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months and I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to.
Hello! Hello, we are finally back again. It's time for college. College has not existed for the last 2 weeks until we returned here today, so class is officially back in session. How was your vacation, CB?
It was great. I learned object permanence throughout it, and now I learned that
What?
college does in fact exist even when we're not around. Contrary to I hate to countercall you right off the bat, but yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these students have still been on the grind, both on their studies and in their games, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table, especially in the games regard. Hopefully, they're also getting good grades as well. So maybe we'll see some good report cards.
I don't think you learned object permanence because you didn't exist in the last 2 weeks either. If I
One of us
can't see
certainly
you,
learned
you didn't
object
exist.
permanence. One of us did. I don't know if I don't know if you picked up on that skill, but
Well,
it's
no,
something
I can only pick up things that I see. Otherwise, it
Okay.
doesn't exist.
So if we were to go into a situation, well, like you're like a bird in a cage. If I put like a blanket over
Mentally
the
and
cage,
physically.
so how was your vacation, Keg? Were you like a bird in a cage, mentally and physically, or you feeling better?
Yeah, mentally, physically, spiritually too.
Well, hopefully this gives you the spiritual awakening that you need. I'm looking forward to the games today. We've got two
games.
back-to-back today going on. We're going to kick things off with a little bit of University of North Carolina off between UNCW Esports Club Teal and the Niner Esports Club Academy. And I'm looking forward to this one because it's the first taste of competitive rivals that we're really going to get after the Season 4.5 patch. We're in a real interesting game state right now.
Yeah, I gotta say right now, if things are interesting, I very much want to see how Daredevil will be applied to people once he's allowed into NECC play. Playing him a lot in ranked, or at least watching people destroy me with him in ranked, has not been fun, but he is very, very strong, and so it does make the game state a little bit more aggressive than it normally is. But with all the various team ups, say by like Hella and Namor, we were talking about that back in the green room, things could be very disturbing at times, to say the very least. So I have a feeling, our most favorite part, the part where we get the yap the most, which are usually the picks and bans, will probably look a lot more different than they were 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I would definitely expect it to be quite different, or potentially also more of the same, because there have been some interesting buffs and nerfs in the patch notes. One thing to highlight is that Daredevil is not going to be playable. We're following the 2-week rule, so he's not going to be allowed. And any team that tries to pick or ban him, they're going to be facing a forfeit. So no, not going to be letting the devil out today. He's going to be staying in his cage where he belongs. One thing, though, is going to stay the same from last week, and that's that we're going to be kicking things off on Hell's Heaven right out the gate. You love to see it.
Sure we do. I mean, of course, like you mentioned, Daredevil can't be played, so we have to be good little angels today, so I won't mention how much I love Hell's Heaven. But again, very snowball-heavy map. As soon as you get the point first, more often than not, unless you have a huge ult state where you can dump everything at once, you're probably good to confirm the entire point yourself.
Well, as we start to get into the pick bans, we're going to get that picture painted for us a little bit. Something that I do kind of want to keep a close eye on, whether it gets picked, whether it gets banned, or whether it gets played, is going to be the Angela. Because you and I saw last week that, especially on Super Soldier Factory, that little pit right there next to the point is just a prime ditch for Angela to repeatedly shovel bodies into over and over again. And we've also started to see that trickle its way up into pro play. We were seeing, 100 Thieves pulling that out, Envy pulling it out against one another in Ignite earlier on. We're going to see a magic ban right out of the gate and a mist ban coming out from Niner Esports Academy. So not going for the one-winged angel quite yet, but we've got an interesting start to things here.
Well, it's okay. We had a fallen angel. She lost her wings, and she swings her sword around trying to collect it back. But at least the first reserve will be interesting. I genuinely don't know off of that mist ban what we can expect, but the storm, interesting. So a lot of denial of melee characters, a lot less forward aggression that UNCW does not want to have for Niner, or, well, I guess just for Niner. But the predominance towards the storm and the flying picks, I think, will be more interesting. Interesting, though, a Namor pick.
Yeah, so the Namor pick is interesting from the, coming off the back of a magic ban, because you're kind of expecting, like, this team to be a dive team, but if they're going to go for Namor, they definitely want to be actually counter dive. They're also going to ban out Bucky. I think that's smart. He's gotten some changes recently, and another one of those rich get richer kind of situations where he was already really strong. I kind of expect to see more and more people banning him out in the future. Wasn't expecting to see a Hella ban, but that's also a pretty good response to that Namor Protect. Takes away that team up you were talking about.
Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth. I think it's a good way of denying one of the biggest team-up additions into patch 4.5. That won't be available anymore. But with the Storm Reserve, it makes me wonder if we might see a Jeff in play in the strategist front. Emma's picked as well, so you have shields, possibly double shields coming into this. Really just big denial of a lot of damage dealing from Niner's end, at least in theory.
In theory. We'll see what Niners Second Protect is about to be. And by the way, just as a quick little refresher for everybody in the audience who might not be aware, we're following the MRC pick and ban system. So these picks and these bans are universal for both teams. That's an interesting one, and I'm curious as to why the Hulk Protect.
Do they think there's still the Hulk Namor team up?
I hope that's not what they're going for, because so another fun fact on the patch is that the Hulk Namor team up is bye-bye. That's gone. It's now, Namor now has the team up with Hela. That's his whole new bread and butter now. Maybe they just really like playing Hulk and Namor as separate entities, though, and feel they can get a lot of value out of them, just on pure raw potential,
Okay. Well, Venom also has a great team up with Jeff as well, and so with the Venom band, it looks like it's going to be a much less aggressive stack overall. We don't have the magic being brought out, we don't see the Venom, so I think this is going to be a much more reserved UNCW, but the fact of the matter is that you still have that Storm, the Jeff can be available, they just feel that the value of the Venom and pushing in so far just might not be worth enough keeping for Niners' end.
I do like the Venom ban, and I kind of feel like, as we go on throughout the night, we're probably going to be seeing a fair bit of Venom bans and maybe seeing a couple teams try and lean more towards him because for my money, that's the biggest buff that came out. Venom was already in a really strong state, and then he gets that buff where now he does anti-heal on top of his ultimate, the Feast of the Abyss. It was already, one-shot comboing people, getting them down to critical HP before they just get taken down. Now it does that, and then also the reduced healing coming through makes it so much easier to confirm those KOs. Not going to be a factor today. I do see a Jeff on one side. Unfortunately, it is opposite the side that we've got the Storm, so no Jeff Nato going to come out either. So a lot of what I would describe, I think, as comfort picks at this stage.
Yeah, might as well too, right? You play what you're most comfortable with, ensure you can play to your strengths.
Wait, time out. Jeff Loki? We're doing Jeff Loki? That's our backline?
We actually call it Jokey.
Oh, okay, that's hilarious.
But we'll wait and see how well that plays out. I have a feeling that Get Tagged may not necessarily play for the backline too much. You do have a Phoenix and Namor available. That's going to be a pretty solid front-to-back line capabilities, but if the Jeff can reposition and maybe get some value off of early ults and send people off that cliff into the lava, that would be huge for Niner.
Yeah, it could also potentially enable this Hulk a little bit more from some rando who's going to be playing forward, trying to get a lot of that space created. UNCW going to try and reclaim some of that space. You see the Hulk jumps out. Now they can start to walk forward with their mag shields. They've got a pretty solid defensive backline. They should be able to keep this mag nice and topped up throughout the duration of this fight, but as we kind of sit right now, we're at a bit of a stalemate. There we go. First Blood finally struck. Fire Breath is going to take down Chief Candy, and that's going to be the floodgates opening, and Niner Esports pouring on through.
That's right, you lost your Emma, you still have Magneto available, but I'm looking at Potato Pug, and that heal's only gone up just after a few more seconds. But guess what, though? Fire Breath doesn't care. Fire Breath only sees red. Pure destruction early on. Get Tagged, though. Does have its Jeff available. Let's see, though, how much value he can get off of this ult. And he's good for one. That's going to be the Phoenix gone. No. Hold on a second.
Yeah, that's going to be the Phoenix gone.
I was looking at that wrong. Like, hold on, that's not his own teammate, is it? Fire Breath and Tag, though, are looking fantastic.
Yeah, I swallowed up some rando as well and did, in fact, remember to spit the teammate out. What an aggressive Jeff play. Like, that's the most telegraphed it's Jeff of all time, but UNCW just really didn't have anything that they could do to try and stop that. When you're already playing so far behind in the ult game and the space game, you're just not ready for a big play to come out from the likes to Get Tagged like that. So now we're going to have to open up with this Omega Hurricane, try and get some value out the back of it. But the End Song Inferno comes out a little bit early, not going to be able to shut this ult down.
Omega Hurricane, though, is going to clear the entirety of the base, except for the fact that there's another ult available. Teddy Chibi, unfortunately, cannot use the Luna ult too much longer. It's going to be the fate of both worlds available, but Stars and Stripes, well, he's there sitting nice and comfy directly onto the point itself. Despite the ult dump, still, Niner did not lose any control of the domination point itself. Up until now, at least, 4% available, but it's a long way to go for CW.
Yeah, but they were only able to find that one KO. It was Lauren with the End Song Inferno taking down Fire Breath on the other side. Now that Niner Esports Club are back to full strength, they're going to be going right back in and trying to segment off with some exiles, some claps, and some rando has to jump back out. There's the regen domains already forced out from Teddy Chibi, so now you're going to be relying on potentially Get Tagged to make another big play with this. It's Jeff. UNCW don't really have a whole lot to stabilize. And now there we go. There's the Shark ultimate. And wow, what an eat. Okay, Luna and Phoenix.
A big eat. And finally now the Eternal Bond is available. I was wondering when that would come into play. Stars and Stripes, no Meteor M available to counter it just yet. But everyone goes down despite the ult available. Still control of the domination point. That is the most important factor. 44% to 58. It's just a few more seconds to climb up to an even game.
UNCW are resilient, though, despite taking heavy losses. They still haven't given it up. There we go. There's the Horde of Proteus coming out. Big damage onto the back line with Potato Pug going down. That should be enough to get the point flip back over 58%. It's a tie game right now, but Niner Esports will find the flip there. Deny any more progress from coming through. But all in all, again, like I said, despite taking heavy losses, UNCW are able to stabilize and cycle their ultimates in a really effective fashion. Now they're going to be coming up on the Fate of Both Worlds, Endsong Inferno, Hand of Khonshu. There's going to be a lot of tools coming online shortly, but we're running out of time for them to be able to use it. At this stage, I would kind of argue Niner Esports are in one fight territory, so only one more victory, and they've taken this one and already taken down Janio.
Teddy Chibi, though, does have God of Mischief available. That is going to be It's Jeff, unfortunately denied. Oh, Chief Candy finds a way in, but now it's the Ultim City. Hand of Khonshu is finally out. The Onks are out, and look at this. Where is Vision? It is denied. He is gone, and so are we. That is going to be big destruction all over. Eternal Bond once again available. Can it be enough, though, to shut everything down? The answer could be yes. But it's up to Teddy Chibi to hold the line. Despite this, the ult does go away. He's forced to lick his wounds and run. But Fate of Both Worlds now brought out. Potato Pugs in a great spot. Master Pop, though, perfect ult cycling could be enough to bring things back, to get it to 80%, maybe into overtime. Remember, it's not 99, it's 98 for Niner Esports. They do not have OT secured. All it takes now is one successful ult up to get back on stage. It's gonna be the Eye of Agamotto out, shutting down the Hulk, saying goodbye to the ult. Explosions everywhere that the eye can see. But the Eye of Agamotto, unfortunately, was blinded out. Once again, though, Fate of Both Worlds, the Eternal Bonds, ult this, ult that. Anywhere you look, it's a bunch of colors. And the Horn of Proteus could come back out once again. But it takes a masterful snipe into the back line. Those could be both healers. It's the Luna at least, but shut down again. We're at 99, overtime, the numbers are dwindling away. It's Jeff is back out, CB, and through it all, somehow on this destruction, no one wants to go down. And it looks like UNCW may have just gotten the leverage they need to bring things back as overtime dwindles away for point one.
Oh, and they use the pentagram of Farala as well at the end, and they're not able to get there. It's just kind of like some of these small mistakes that snowball into catastrophe for Niner Esports. They use that God of Mischief, they duplicate the Cloak and Dagger, and then pop the Eternal Bond, and then Teddy Chibi just goes a couple of pixels outside of the capture point, and it flips over to UNCW. And at that point, you've already used one of your biggest ultimates. UNCW respond with that Fate of Both Worlds. They're able to stabilize, and even without that, they didn't really even need it because it was just a lonely duplicated Cloak and Dagger, a Loki having to tuck his tail between his legs and walk back to the rest of the team. Suddenly the cavalry's there, but you don't have your big tool that you need to try and go for the retake, and it all just kind of spirals out of control. They're getting desperate. They lose Quicksilver early on. Comes back with the Horn of Proteus, but it's too little too late. Chief Candy and Genio on that front line. The Vanguard play making up the difference at the last possible second there. And now as we go on over to the next sub map here, UNCW, it didn't look too great for them initially, but they are the ones in the driver's seat firmly, and Niner Esports are the ones left scratching their head. And as we look across the ult banks for both sides, all I see is a Hand of Khonshu.
Yeah, it's gonna be that double Moon Knight that I'm really worried about for both of these teams. The back line is gonna take a lot of damage. Gotta be the J Neo and Chief Candy to make sure they can peel just in time before the first fight.
See where Vision wants to try and place this Hand of Khonshu. You can already tell he's looking for it. There we go. There's the jump. Drops it right on top. The Onk goes out as well, but the regen domain is good to help save the rest of the team, and it's actually going to be Lauren that ends up falling as well as Master Pop. So, I mean, the Hand of Khonshu definitely didn't pay off dividends. Niner Esports getting the better of this fight, at least initially, and as they force J Neo back, and with Chief Candy on death's door, there we go. The Tridents are hitting, and Niner taking the first point with a vengeance.
And remember, this is exactly how point one started. Niner had a significant lead, a 58% over UNCW, 0 in the beginning, but all it took was that initial ult dump for UNCW to make things even. Niner took it back to 98%, and from there, UNCW, they took OT and the first point.
And now they're going to have the ult advantage as well. They've got pretty much everything either on deck or about to be coming up here very shortly. And if you're UNCW, you're going to have your strategist ults, sure, but you're going to have to be playing defensively with those. It's up to Niner Esports to set the tempo and force those ultimates out. And you have to play reactive with your Fate of Both Worlds if you really want to make a play here. The Eye of Agamotto from J-Neo could be absolutely huge, but I don't really see a great place to use it. And I do see a Carbon Crush, and the Eye of Agamotto just gets kicked away.
I have Agamotto brought out, but there's not much of a follow-up outside of J Nero himself using his own body as a form of destruction. There's 5 ults available. We just saw the Hand of Khonshu brought up by Fire Breath, but it was okay. But I'm worried now for Niner holding on to this space, CB. They have 5 ultimates to shut down anything UNCW can throw at them.
Well, luckily though, like that's still not a terrible fight for UNCW. They trade the Agamotto for the Hand of Khonshu. I think you're okay with that because you still have time to build up to the rest of your ult bank. You just have to try and deal with the strategist ults on the other side as well. But remember, it's Loki Jeff, so all you really have to do is like hide your backline and make it so that they don't fall. You're gonna lose Neo first though. Now we're already forcing out the fate of both worlds. It's looking pretty dicey.
Oh, but there we go. Get tagged was not enough to fall into the hands of that Emma. Instead, though, Ensong Inferno could be a good way to remove this back line. It does get procced out just in time. But instead of focusing on the Jeff, it's going to be for the Emma instead. Chief Candy's taking a wealth of damage. Some rando looking like they are nice and dandy on your flawless stat line. But through it all, Omega Hurricane, maybe it'll break up this backline even more, which has been the major problem. Say goodbye to the Namor. The reposition value of this Jeff has been simply too much. We're back to OT once again, and the Hand of Khonshu is not available just yet, but Fire Breath is racking up that percentage like it's nobody's business. Get tagged though, it's Jeff, it's tagged, he gets rid of 3, and that should secure the first point.
Regen Domain gonna come out from Teddy Chibi. Yes, a lot of healing to try and break through, and a nice little KO there on Potato Pug. Make it a double for Lauren as well. The strange TP is there, but it's not exactly an entire cavalry coming through. It's just Neo, and it's not gonna be enough as the rest of the team's not gonna be able to get there in time. Such a great ult timing there coming out from Get Tagged on the It's Jeff, just waiting until there was nothing else that UNCW could have possibly done, and then it even identifies that, hey, you know, they've got the dark teleportation. There's a storm in my mouth right now. She's a flyer. She can get out. Oh. I'm going to sacrifice my life for the greater good, take them all down. A sweet little 3-piece just to seal the deal, and it looks crystal clean from Niner Esports. That's what we wanted to see on Super Soldier Factory. Now we move over to Eldritch Monument. Can they do it one more time? They did kind of bleed the ult bank dry in order to get that far.
Look at the triple strategist right now. The idea is to have Lauren potentially bring in the damage boost into Where Is Vision and maybe even Chief Candy just to get that extra oomph of damage that UNCW has been struggling with. Of course, as I say that, they move away from the Mantis and go for pure heals instead. But Potato Pug swapping now off of the Luna into the Jeff. Lauren's going to be taking that Luna position. We could see the Jeff NATO finally make its time to shine.
Still the triple strategist composition with the only real source of damage going to be Where Is Vision on that Storm. So you really have to be banking on this Storm getting a ton of value.
Damage.
Yeah, like you kind of would have liked to keep the Phoenix instead of the Storm for a situation like this because you can get a lot more damage off the Sparks and just off of the range DPS. But nevertheless, this is what they're coming to the dance floor with. And, you know, maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe they can actually get some value off of Vision's pick here. It's gonna be a tall order, and there is a whale on the other side, and Vision is nearly dead already.
Well, I hate to break it to you, CB, but we're about to see a whale of a time. The Horn of Proteus is available for Quicksilver, and I really hope that these players can dance, because if they have 2 left feet, it's not going to look good for UNCW. All the while, though, Stars and Stripes finding so many eliminations. Everybody on Niner Esports are putting in work. And UNCW, they have 2 Vanguards, they have the Storm, but they just don't have the pushing power they need to get directly onto the site. I would love to see Where's Vision go back to the Phoenix.
I'd also kind of like to see some swaps coming out from UNCW. Potato Pug does have that as a Jeff, and maybe you're trying to play for the Jeff NATO, but Where Is Vision needs to play a lot more safe because we saw, you know, we see where the Loki clones are all set up. Where Is Vision went in to try and take a duel with a Loki one-on-one in close quarters and nearly won it, but got cut off from the rest of the team. And, you know, Niner Esports, they don't really have to force a play in that situation because the only source of damage, like we talked about, is completely split. All they have to do is just keep pumping in damage on the backline, and eventually somebody will fall. And now we've got a full house of ultimates, Hand of Khonshu, just to open it up. Even if this gets absolutely nothing, it's still worth it just for that scant little percent.
That's right, and also fragments the push quite a bit too. The Hand of Khonshu separated out the Vanguards long range from everybody else on the team. We saw a wealth of damage applied to J Nero, and even though that didn't take him down, it forced him and the rest of UNCW to peel. But this is their attempt. They're trying to push in. Quicksilver still holding on to the Horn of Proteus, maybe saving it for this very moment. As the ult dump comes down, you can just wait for everything to flood on by. Maybe a snipe percentage. Force someone like Where Is Vision away, but Get Tagged once again brings out the It's Jeff. Into the lava you go! Goodbye! It's gonna be Fire Breath to find even more of that damage. And through it all, the Horn of Proteus. Moby Dick has not found his, well, I guess it's Ahab.
I mean, it's the worst possible situation for UNCW. They double stack their support ultimates, which you're never supposed to do. Like, they're still going to have It's Jeff going into this next fight, but you can't use the Fate of Both Worlds and the Eternal Bond at the same time. And also, you have to be careful when you use the Eternal Bond against the Jeff, because just like you saw, Get Tagged just baits that out and then takes down the Emma and just gets a free KO off of that. Now we've got the Tornado coming out, a Mega Hurricane. There's the Jeff Nado. He's chomping around, not finding a whole lot, though. It looks like Niner able to stabilize so far.
Oh no, CB, they didn't get a single KO off of it. They managed to force the peel off on Niner, and that's a great start. But here's the thing, though. There's still totems directly on the point itself. 92% belongs to Niner Esports. We saw the comeback in point number 1 from UNCW. This is their time to bring it back.
They managed to take down Quicksilver early on, and then they're also taking down Teddy Chibi as well, which is their biggest source of healing right now. And there we go, Stars and Stripes gonna fall as well. This is where it can start to spiral out of control again. If UNCW don't take a hard reset and just get the heck out of here, back all the way up to spawn and take a full team reset, they're gonna keep conceding more percentage to UNCW, and this is where it's going to start to get dangerous.
This is the moment of truth. It's a matter of seeing how Niner Esports respond to this and try to push in as a team. I see Get Tagged. I see the setup there, buddy. Let's see if the It's Jeff into the back line can find value, if we can even make it that far. I'm still looking at these ults that have yet to be used by Niner Esports, but it all begins with the Psionic Seduction. How else can you seduce your way in hell to get onto a site than with Emma? This is your way of getting in. And there it is, though. Both of your DPS are finding instrumental value. It's Niner Esports to shut down everybody. What's alive? The back line, eaten by the shark, and into the lava you go. That is a decimation of UNCW, but still, only now Acclaim back onto the site.
I don't think there's going to be time for a Strange TP coming out either. UNCW are trying to make it happen. They've got Where's Vision on the Spider-Man, but he's going to be swinging it into action a little bit too late. Not going to be able to get the touch there, and the teleport's also not going to come through. And yeah, just like you said, you know, going in on the It's Jeff for the backline, being able to get both the Luna and the Cloak and Dagger, that's the death nail. There's really no coming back from that. You did have the Eternal Bond as well, but again, like I said, in the fight prior, they had double stacked their support ultimates. I think they also caught on to that. They realized that was a mistake and kind of overcorrected, trying to avoid making that one again. But I think even if that Eternal Bond had come out, there wasn't going to be anybody around to benefit from it. It would have just been Master Pop and a prayer.
Now, look, we have the benefit of hindsight, and we could see the picks and bans, right? So I don't want to say, like, I'm a know-it-all. I'm not an analytical genius. Some people say I'm not a genius at all. I don't know what they're talking about. But the thing I noticed was that we saw the Magic ban, we saw the Storm Reserve, we saw the Venom ban, and to me, that told me that UNCW did not want to play this very aggressive. They were hoping to get the point first, maybe a retake stack, but their idea was to hold and stall. And because they just weren't able to confidently take the point to begin with, it was so hard to execute the true part of their own plan. And I think they faltered from the pick ban phase.
Yeah, and you know, part of that does also come back to, I was going to say, it comes back to missing a ban, but I think for Niner Esports, it's confidence, because they're the ones who missed the ban, and then they still come out on the winning end there. I still like the Venom ban, and I would like for them to go back to that again, but I think you also got to target ban the Jeff, because one of the fun facts we had about It's Jeff was that homie's got 160 hours on Jeff. So, you know, we didn't really get time to highlight that in the pre-show, but had we actually done so, we probably would have been sounding the alarm bells and being like, hey, you have to ban Jeff, okay? Like, it's you're going up against someone who is a complete terrorist on this hero, who can play him to his fullest potential. Sure, you ban the Venom, so you're not benefiting from the team up, but when you've got that kind of work being put in on Jeff the Shark, you don't need no Venom team up, all right? You don't need no tendrils, you don't need no extra abilities. You just need your ultimate, and you just need a pit to put the bodies in.
I mean, alternatively, too, if you want to be extra destructive, I think banning the Jeff is a fantastic idea. But if you can have a successful counterplay against the Jeff, too, what else does he play, right? Like, then you get all of your bans, then you have the counterplay to the Jeff. You're effectively forcing Tag to play something so uncomfortable.
But, like, then you're also kind of wondering, like, it's all just kind of the way that the pick bans play out, because you can go straight for that Jeff ban, but then maybe they protect Adam, and then you're playing with, like, the next most annoying strategist. We're in a real interesting place with strategists, where, like, Adam, Warlock, and Jeff are, like, S tier, and sure, you can ban one or the other, but you're gonna have to face the music with whichever one. For this situation, though, again, going up against somebody who has 160 hours on Jeff, I would probably target ban that one and say, all right, show me how good your golden god is.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see what the secondary picks for Get Tagged are going to be. He's a mini MVP, I would say, for game number 1. We are still waiting for all the players to get in the lobby for game number 2 to see how that plays out. But I do want to say, while we have a moment, CB, I really like your glasses.
Thank you. I don't need them at all.
Oh,
It's a ruse. I don't actually wear glasses. These are just because I really wanted
It's
to give
Superman!
librarian today. It's just me, Clark Kent. Don't worry. Also, that's another property. We're in Marvel, not DC right now. So.
That's
yeah,
right.
DC's woke. We can't be referencing that here. We're all about Marvel right here in this house.
Be?
Is the equivalent for not just? I mean, I guess I want to say Captain America, but no, because they're like completely different origin stories.
Yeah.
Do we know of a Marvel hero who like came from another planet and is like all powerful? Like there's Thanos, but that's not right.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
Thanos
is
a
not
Superman for some people.
Thanos is not the Superman for Marvel. I will not allow. I'm going back to Cap. Like it just makes sense. We're going to be taking a little detour though over to Wakanda. We're going to be going to Hall of Djalia for our convergence map. Interestingly, the new convergence map is allowed, Heart of Hope, but it's covered in Iron Fist vape clouds right now. No one can see the map, so we're going to just go back to something a little bit more familiar instead.
Yeah, well, we're trying to get Iron Fist the help that he needs. Hopefully he can get his addiction under control, but unfortunately, so far, we're not going to be seeing his homestead. It is a complete mess. Hall of the Dahlia, though, is very pretty.
It's a very gorgeous map. It's a very beautiful map, and I think it's the
No
most
vape
familiar for a lot of these teams. Yeah, no vape clouds. We do occasionally get some just random world events that happen on the first point that just blow the defenders up for no reason. But hey, it's a rough life in. It's a rough life in Wakanda. What can you do? It's only the most scientifically advanced nation on the planet.
Yeah, it happens. Everyone wants their technology. But for once now, we get to see first bands. It's the Angela this time for Niner.
A little bit of inside baseball, by the way. We can see the chat as well. Angela was going to be their first ban before they missed it. So, again, they're just going to go back. It looks like we might actually be seeing 1-for-1, at least initially, what we saw before. So I'm guessing we're going to see the same protects and the same bans from the other side. Yeah, the Storm protect as well. But I feel like you have to change something up if you were that far behind on on the first map. I feel like you have to reach for that Jeff because this is a really, really strong Jeff map.
Okay, the Invisible Woman protect. Sure, I don't disagree with it. It's like protecting vanilla ice cream. Like you can't really go wrong with it.
It's also a base for a lot of other really good things. Throw a little bit of cookie dough in there and you've got yourself an S-tier ice cream, I would say.
Yeah, let's see what the cookie dough is going to be.
Hopefully it's a Jeff band because, again, Hall of Djalia is it doesn't really have a whole lot of environmental hazards, but it does have a lot of really strong lanes that you can just play down, get maximum value out of the Joyful Splash. And also on that first point, there are a couple of those environmental hazards. So we're seeing a little bit of change-ups coming out. Still no Jeff being touched, but the Bucky ban again. Don't hate it for Niner Esports. Bruce ban on UNCW. Again, the Hulk and Namor team-up doesn't exist, so we don't really have to worry too much about that. We did see a fair bit of Hulk from Niner before. We took too long. We took a little too long to get there, and it's now bit us in the butt.
Coach CB, what do you do if you're UNCW?
Panic. I mean, there's not a whole lot that you can really do about a Jeff. On Hall of Djalia, so he's one of those characters that you have to constantly mark. If you're going to be playing up against a double strategist composition like they were before with Jeff and Loki, as long as you have the Jeff marked and you're not giving him the opportunity to go on any aggressive angles, you still have, for the most part, map control. You can't really be afraid of him. Once he breaks from the pack, though, and tries to go and either set up a dive with one of his vanguards or tries to make a play on his own, that's when you try and catch him out. That's when you punish him. That's where everybody needs to be pinging him. That's especially where your hit scan duelists need to be looking in that direction and punishing that Jeff for ever straying from his pack. But speaking of hit scan duelists, we're not going to have access to one of the most powerful ones, as Hela is going to be banned. And speaking of hit scan duelists, we're not going to have access to the Punisher either.
So what is the point of reserving the cloak and the Invisible Woman?
I think you're just trying to make sure, again, that you have a really, really strong, really very heal-focused backline so that you can sustain your front line.
Yeah.
But it's still,
that was the big target of the Jeff.
Yeah, like you're still playing this kind of front to back style with it, and you're not like that's where you're going to be susceptible to the Jeff. At least initially, though, it's going to be Niner Esports on the defensive side, so not going to be as good for Jeff, but also going to be a lot more difficult to try and mark him and find where he is.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of like the macro right now for UNCW, because the weakness of game one certainly wasn't the healing factors. I thought their heals were decent for what it was.
Oh, we don't gotta worry about healing factor. Wolverine's not he's not picked right now. He's
that's good. No adamantium light bullets coming out from Cloak and Dagger. I got worried for a second, but it was the damage output that really worried me. Having the Star-Lord being brought out here alongside the Phoenix, I think, is a remarkably good change, but I just don't think it was worth reserving two of the most basic healers in the game to do it. I think those were kind of a waste.
Well, I mean, sure, you still use the reserve for those, but you do still have the option to make the swap over onto like the Mantis or the Ultron to try and augment the Star-Lord a little bit more, maybe pocket him with a drone, or just give him some damage boost. But nevertheless, Star-Lord is still going to be a very strong character on his own, especially on this map. He's basically got free reign to take any angle that he wants, and with where's Vision falling, he's gonna be falling back. So not exactly gonna have his pick of the litter just yet. No frontline means no Star-Lord taking to the skies just yet.
Yeah, playing someone like Star-Lord in the beginning, helping the front lines break away some of this early utility is great, because then, like you mentioned, you can start to reposition, bring out the Intergalactic Legend at around the 45-second mark, start to force out heals to the back line, which again, Niner Esports has had a very solid foundation through the entirety of game number one. Get tagged though, it's Jeff is now available. Everybody on UNCW is grouped up right on the opening choke point. This is a very scary factor to be in alongside the hand of Khonshu, setting everybody back. Get Tagged does find at least one. I think the observers are setting up ready for the ult to come out, but Get Tagged is waiting a bit. He wants everyone on UNCW to ult dump and push up first.
What's crazy, though, is the fact that Fire Breath is already halfway to another hand of Khonshu after building that first one so fast, though, and that's a problem for UNCW when they're playing this close together. You're going to be feeding those ultimates, especially from the Moon Knight, so quickly. So, I mean, yeah, 67%, just a couple more Crescent Darts, and Homie's going to have another one, and realistically, they can just win the fight same as they did last time. Pop the hand of Khonshu early, split them up. Meteor M going to come out. Great Dark Teleportation. Stars and Stripes gets a little too aggressive there, but gonna have the tools, not gonna get punished, but Niner Esports want to try and capitalize off of this.
Oh, very aggressive ult you did mention, but it did force out the Cloak and Dagger Eternal Bond really early. It doesn't find much coverage onto the site. Tagged, of course, the star of the show, does find at least two. That's going to be both of the Vanguards gone. Okay, and so UNCW forced to lick their wounds and run away. 2 minutes on the clock.
And we're only halfway done with this this first round here. Niner Esports did invest very heavily in that fight, though. They're only going to have a Horn of Proteus, and honestly, if you're UNCW, I think you're kind of fine with how that fight went out. If your ult tracking's on point, you should be able to make the most out of this Galactic Legend from Chief Candy. Just send the Star-Lord out on a flank, and there's really nothing that Niner Esports can do about it, especially if you are able to, take a fight over on the other side and force out the regen domain early. That's really the only defensive tool that they've got.
Yeah, Get Tagged could get out of the way with a little fishy into the ground. We'll have to wait and see. That would put everybody else on Niner Esports on an island. No chances of being healed whatsoever. As you mentioned, Intergalactic Legend available. The regen domain is out and does not find a lot of value. Shields are applied though, and just in time at the very end, Stars and Stripes does fall. That's one Vanguard gone, but everybody else, including this Emma, are sitting nice and dandy directly on the point. There might be a chance of isolation here. Get Tagged, forced to reposition. Lack of heals now will help out quite a bit for the rest of the team, but a hand of Khonshu is going to even the odds.
Some rando taking down Master Pop there, and Chief Candy going to get rid of that pesky shark. This is our Lord paying dividends, but some rando takes him down, and now Whereas Vision has the Eye of Agamotto, but if he uses his eyes on his head, he's going to look around, he's going to see he's got no teammates right now, and some rando going to clean him up. And for all that UNCW invested to try and make that fight happen, it's just not going to go their way, and they're only going to have 30 seconds left to try and make a play here. And they've given Niner Esports Club the opportunity to build back up to their big ticket ultimates. They've got the God of Mischief, they've got the Psionic Seduction, they're going to have another It's Jeff. They need to keep an eye on Get Tagged. Where is this shark playing? Can we get rid of him early? Can we catch him out? All the strategist ultimates in the world aren't going to matter if you just get swallowed up in the belly of the shark.
Sonic Seduction could be available here, forcing out the Eternal Bond early into an Eye of Agamotto. A sacrifice for a portal. We won't be seeing that. It is tagged with the greatest eat we have seen. That's the most of his teammates, but at least one goes down. Goodbye, Strange. No portal potentially available. That actually might be a huge benefit for UNCW. The Strange going down so early could promote the portal, but no one's left to survive on site to delay. And that's going to be a first point going handedly in Niners' favor.
And there was an opportunity for UNCW to actually get the cap there. I really liked the idea to use the Ensong Inferno to make sure that you clear the regen domain, clear all the Loki clones, and even get a little bit of extra damage coming out to really set up for that Galactic Legend, but it just didn't pan out the way you wanted it to. The KOs just weren't there, and you really needed to see some UNCW on the right side of the kill feed for once. Didn't come out, and then there weren't any tools. And like I said, you're giving Niner Esports time to build up to their win conditions yet again, and you've still yet to find a way to counteract this Jeff. You still haven't really been able to mark him effectively. He's playing in a very smart place, by the way. He's not actually going for those flanks. A lot of his ult charge is just coming from the raw healing numbers. He's the ace of his team currently, 12k healing to only 9k for the Loki. You're just farming these ultimates up, and then UNCW just don't really have a good way to deal with it when it finally strikes. And then they go for their big win conditions. They go for the Eye of Agamotto. Well, it's Jeff can counter that.
And Niner here want to end this game very quick. They have the idea of going for a full dive comp. You have the Hands of the Venom, Captain America, and the Iron Fist to make sure the entire front line can get destroyed immediately. Jay Nero's about to have a very rough time with these shields.
Yeah, I'm curious about the penny pick here. I'm curious about a lot of things that I'm seeing right now. Niner
like
Esports
the
are on a
penny
full
pick in
troll comp
theory.
right now. I like it in theory, but like only because I'm seeing the Iron Fist on the other side, and it's like, okay, this is a good way to deal with the Iron Fist, but there's no way you knew this was gonna happen, right? Like,
Surely not, but it should shut down the front lane, and hopefully then just force a funnel in from the enemy team. But Niner right now, the Iron Fist hidden away. It's waiting for a prime opportunity to strike off the hands of this Venom. Oh,
got the
no.
Venom and the Jeff with the Venom team up as well. We got a full dive composition with a
All they
little
need
bit
is
of
one tick.
Namor flair there. And only one tick. Quick little meditation from Fire Breath before going in on this one. And Regen Domain already forced out. Chief Candy already punched down into Atoms. And that might already be it.
Yeah, I would say this is GG. Niner Esports Club looking fantastic. They have great ideas in mind. They have a fantastic macro. And the fact that their main win condition is off the hands of Jeff the Landshark really goes to show how versatile a game like this can be.
It's also one of those things that just kind of mentally booms you. Like, think back to how many times you've played in ranked and you're just getting rolled by a team that's running the Jeff. It just breaks your mental in two. Like, you kind of just lose the ability to make good decisions. If you're UNCW, you really have to go back to the drawing board. You have to try and ban this Jeff. Maybe you're really afraid of playing against the Magic. Maybe someone on the other side has a Magic that's just stellar that we just don't know about, and that's worth being afraid of. But if plan B is Jeff the Landshark, you know, we got to try and find a way in the pick ban phase to get ourselves down to, like, plans H through Z. You know, we got to start working down the alphabet a little bit here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think just going back to the drawing board and figuring out what in this new patch, how you can counter something like the Jeff will probably have to be the biggest factor for UNCW. Individually, the players, I thought, all looked pretty good. It's just the fact that they ran into these individual problems from Niner Esports and just did not have the way on the individual level to counterplay it effectively in a way that would work well for the whole team. But luckily, though, that's what, you know, NECC is for. Just a way to figure things out and become more acclimated to a big team environment.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's still a relatively new esport. I think for a lot of these players, it's going to be their first time actually playing on a team, getting organized, scrimming together, getting to know each other, starting to build up that synergy. And a couple of teams might already be cheating in that regard. In fact, that they've already got some pretty good synergy built up. Esports seem to have the synergy in spades. And if you're UNCW, you got time to build it, but not a whole lot because you're behind the 8 ball, one map away from losing this whole series. We're going to cut to a quick break, and we will be right back to see if UNCW have it in them to start that reverse sweep.
Go on, myself. I'm cold, steel, stainless. My glass half full. Always said, don't suffer no fools. Serpents, daydream. I bite, you call me lovely.
Welcome back, gamers, and boy, have I got some good news for you if you're a fan
Oh?
of the University of North Carolina. University of North Carolina is pounding on this series. The bad news is they're pounding in a civil war, and it's also University of North Carolina on the receiving end of some, I want to call it animal abuse, but it's the animal that's doing the abusing. It's the Jeff the Shark that is currently abusing UNCW.
Wow, we have the Civil War, we have animal abuse, we have all of my favorite things, I guess. I can't wait to see how this series goes, CB.
More good news, by the way, is these two teams are in a division
more.
where another University of North Carolina team, University of North Carolina Greensboro, is at the top of the division, and one of these two teams might in the future have a date with them. And it looks like Niner is the one that is teeing up currently, as that Jeff composition seems nigh unbeatable.
Yeah, no, completely agree. I mean, things have been looking pretty good so far for the Jeff composition. I am looking to see maybe if the Civil War will continue, if we have some more Jeff on Jeff action. Could very well be a possibility. Very curious to see how things end up as we go on forwards through today, CB.
Yeah, and we're going to be going to our convoy map next. We'll see the map pick right now. It's going to be Spider Islands, and this is I mean, this one's a
Ooh.
personal favorite of mine, and I think, it's also another map that I think Jeff is playable, but it's a little bit more open-ended. I think you can get away with playing some of the more traditional strategists here a little bit better. It's a great spot for Invis Woman, especially on point B. You got that little pit. You can just hit them with the force physics. Best feeling in the world.
You know what? In my ranked games, whether it be Grandmaster or just pure plastic, you always see Spider-Man try to do the cheesiest things on this map. So sometimes it has a bitter taste in my mouth, but my God, is it beautiful looking. Look, you're gonna hate me for this one, but this is a fantastic Squirrel Girl map.
It sure is. You know what else it is? The first time we are seeing that Jeff band right out of the gates.
They've learned. This
They
is why
have
we have
learned.
students play.
I mean, sometimes, it takes a lecture or two for it to really stick. And, I'm the kind of person that learns by doing. I got to fall flat on my face once or twice before I get it. UNCW, I like this. Do we see a Magic Protect now, though? Yeah, we sure do.
Okay.
Of course.
Yep, that makes sense. So I would assume here UNCW, as soon as humanly possible, would want to reserve the Penny pick, just because that can hard shut down the Magic.
You're gonna want to either go for the Penny or the Namor. I kind of like what you suggest though with the Penny a little bit more, because if you protect the Namor, you're kind of doing Niner a favor as well, because they've been leveraging the Namor quite well. Oh, I like that. I like that. Bucky is another way that you can shut down the Magic. If the Bionic hooks land, you can definitely put a hurting on a Magic, stop the flanks from coming out, and also Bucky just generally really, really good at most of the things.
That's true. He is the wonder child of this game. It's a little bit more skill reliant for UNCW now to shut down the Magic, which, not to say that they don't have skill, it just worries me a little bit more, because I think the biggest fall factor from the last game was the fact that their duelist capabilities was not as damage heavy, so a little worried on that end. Invisible Woman, you said was great on this map. Well, Niner's aware of that and said, nope, not today.
And it's also a little bit, feeding the Magic a little bit more, because, Invisible Woman's one of the more defensible backliners that you can reach for. I do kind of want to highlight another option, especially if you're going to come out with the Penny, is to potentially go for a Rocket on the side of
Ooh, I
UNCW,
like that.
because that's another one that's really survivable. As long as you're not on the grounds, just in the path of the Magic, you still have the ability to run up on the walls, use the dashes to try and get up on some high grounds, and you can also play with the Rocket Network team up. Just a little suggestion, feel free to take it or leave it. Either way, you're also going to have to deal with that Namor, who has been putting in the work for the side of Niner Esports. Storm Protect is going to be UNCW's bread and butter once again. Don't hate it on this map either. Honestly, Spider Islands is good for a lot of these.
Yeah, no, I mean, Spider Islands is just one of those maps that I feel like can be good for just about everybody. There's just so many buildings and so much reposition value that you can find that off the top of my head, I really can't think of one hero that's just straight up bad on this map. I mean, it's really point dependent, sure, but just like throughout it all, not really.
One thing I'm curious about, though, is this is a Division 4 matchup, so I'm curious to see if we actually get to see, you know, the triple compositions, you know, with the goats, the triple vanguard, triple strategist compositions. I'm wondering if that has made its way down here, or if these two teams are still going to stick to the 2-2-2. Especially with Fire Breath hovering over that Magic, I wouldn't expect Niner Esports to be coming out the gates with it right away, but for UNCW, could be a decent tool on the defensive side. We'll see. They're going to be starting things off on the attack, and that's where I do actually really, really like their Storm Protect, and in fact, I do like them playing the Storm just altogether. Very good for breaking any sort of spawn holds.
So you mentioned the triple. We have the in and out double. What would a triple look like?
I would imagine just be an extra patty, an extra piece of cheese, right?
You know,
but
I
hey,
think...
you know what? No, we're not seeing any rocket coming out, and the Jeff is banned, so we're not getting an animal style right now.
Aw, man, no meat available. Well, luckily, though, we have Wenzel's Meat Stick Farm to help out.
That's all the meat that I need right now, and we're going to have a fair bit of beef between these two teams. The University of North Carolina having their civil war yet again, and potentially the last map kicking off on Spider Islands. This Vision, this Where is Vision Storm pick needs to pay off dividends here.
This is definitely the most concerning part for me here. Whereas Vision, a very great and apt player, but I'm worried about the Storm versus the Magic. In theory, the Storm could hard counter Fire Breath 1, but Fire Breath playing very up high, looking to backline almost immediately. No one, especially the Flyer, has checked the top of this pagoda as Fire Breath descends down directly on top of everybody. Oh no! But it's a shutdown immediately. Lauren's there to save the day.
Also, the Carbon Crusher comes out from J Neo. Chief Candy gonna fall, and I mean, it's not a bad look for UNCW to be able to get rid of that Magic right out of the way, but losing 2 members in the act, it's just not going to be enough for them to be able to keep the pressure up. But I do like it, you know. I like the play from the Magic. I like just sitting up there on the high ground, waiting for the right opportunity, because you know the way the attackers are going to play is they're going to try and leave some people behind to push the cart while the rest of the team moves forward to try and take space. You just wait for that split to happen, and then you take advantage. And now, there we go. Now that we don't have to worry about checking our back line and Chief Candy's back in the fray, we already have the Strangling Prison coming out.
Oh, we talked about how great the leveling of this map can be. You have so many buildings and rooftops to play on top of. Having Chief Candy on that Groot allows Lauren to play up above, whereas Vision the same exact thing. That's going to allow a lot more reposition D-value off of Niner Esports. But as I say that, though, plenty of ultimates are out at once. Not only do you have Karmic Revival, but you also had the Fate of Both Worlds. I'm sorry, the Eternal. It's one of the ultimates. We have the Luna Snow ult available, but where is Vision? Shuts everything down just in time.
And now you do also have the Fate of Both Worlds for Potato Pug. If UNCW really want to invest, they should be able to take this. But one Swift Trident, Quicksilver again on the Namor, shuts things down. And UNCW are going to have to retreat yet again, give ground. And I mean, you've gotten the 2 biggest problems out of Niner Esports. Now we're going to have the Omega Hurricane. There's not going to be a strategist ult to stop this, so this should be a great play for this Storm. Patty Caking not going to come through. Get tagged. Going to get tagged indeed, and some rando falls as well. This should be enough for UNCW to get the cart the rest of the way.
Absolutely, and with so many ults available too, UNCW has a lot in reserve for these next few fights. Like you said, that should be enough for point number 1. UNCW's comfortability looks so much more apparent on this map than we saw back on the last 2, but of course, I don't want to speak too soon yet. That cart has not gone to the the first point. It finally does, and I gotta say, with 3.5 ults still available and Chief Candy soon to have his, this is looking pretty good.
And the Sonic Seduction there coming out, just a little bit of an insurance policy, getting a nice payout there in that point A cap. We've got Fire Breath now off the Magic onto the Squirrel Girl. Like you said, I don't hate you for it, but you were correct.
You
this
should.
This is a really good Squirrel Girl map. I don't gotta hate you for it, but I think UNCW might have a little bit. You might not be on their Christmas list this year.
That's true. So much coal, but at least now I can fuel up my house. Squirrel Girl is fantastic, and she is the most annoying character in the game. That's why I got her Lord immediately. But she's so fun, and Fire Breath is having the time of his life. Denny Chibi, though, Karmic Revival again, keeping everybody in the fray. Niner Esports are looking to have that infinite sustain and just make sure they can whittle down UNCW. That's going to be the end of UNCW for the push. They're forced to peel, but this is their time again to lick their wounds and figure out for the regroup how they want to execute back.
They're still taking a few licks though as well. I mean, where's Vision with a late stagger death there, and another one onto Lauren. Like, they don't have control of the angles to UNCW anymore, so Niner Esports just keeps spamming down range with the, the Adam Warlock right clicks, with the Squirrel Girl, even just with the Tridents coming down, and you can see the health bars of UNCW. They're just not comfortable walking through this choke just yet. They need to try and use something to try and break through this, and it's going to be the Omega Hurricane that comes out again, but there is the Fate of Both Worlds from Get Tagged, so this Omega Hurricane, I can tell you it's not a Cat 5.
Oh man, that is a cat destruction. So many meows available, but the Squirrel Tsunami on top is the flood that's able to remove the houses away from UNCW. Fantastic to see overall. But UNCW, with their ult available, the Fate of Both Worlds, and the Eternal Bond available as well, the Empire Inferno could help out, but again, it's just about creating space.
You also do have to worry about Teddy Chibi coming up on another Karmic Revival. Just use one in the last fight, but is 80% to the next one, with more of that damage coming through from the spam, from the angles, from your inability to walk through the choke. Even if you win this fight outright, are you prepared for second fight?
I'm really hoping that Chief Candy's saving up his Strangling Imprisonment just for the Karmic Revival, if he can find exactly where that would come in from. But that's going to require people on Niner Esports to go down. They got to get KO'd first. And as strong as that first point was for UNCW, this adaptation to bring out Fire Breath 1's, Squirrel Girl has just been a completely different city. You have a small choke point, you have the Squirrel Tsunami directly into the Eternal Bond. It's a hard counter. You're not going to find a lot of value, off of that. But at least it's enough to create some more space.
And you're able to take down two. Where is Vision just coming out? Taking down Teddy Chibi, but should be able to cocoon and wait for the Karmic Revival. Horror Proteus coming out from Quicksilver. There's the cocoon. There's the Karmic Revival coming out. The KO's coming out. Lauren's still doing God's work, but it's the Golden God you got to worry about. Where is Vision, though? Somehow got another Omega Hurricane.
Man. Okay.
There's another dance floor, though, so it's not going to do a whole lot. We've got the levees nice, high, and dry, and University of North Carolina is going to be weathering the storm yet again.
And keep in mind, too, it's going to be a double strategist comp now with just an Adam Warlock. The healing value is not going to be nearly as strong as, say, the Luna and the Cloak and Dagger. That being said, though, we're seeing players one by one whittled down. The Vanguards are gone. Stars and Stripes is staggered. UNCW's just created so much value out of themselves. And into the next fight, Chief Candy for sure can create more space off of his ult.
Yes, what I'm going to be looking for, and I think if you're Chief Candy, you want to try and play up far and try and catch some people trying to go for the recontest. Is there going to be a recontest? There needs to be a touch. 1.46 meters. It finally comes through, but there's that Strangling Prison.
Oh, Meteor M is out, and suddenly destruction underway. 53% off of Where Is Vision. He's been able to get that Omega Hurricane so quick, and yet through it all, as I say that, he's racking it up. But these defenders, they are falling. Stars and Stripes again. Both of these Vanguards are having a rough time. That's the second point confirmed.
I like the idea to try and use the Meteor M to soak up the damage to come through on the follow-up to try and keep everybody inside of that Strangling Prison alive, but it's just not going to be enough, and you're not able to find a KO on the return off the back of it. So you're using that ultimate essentially just to buy yourself a fraction of time that you don't actually get anything for it, and it's going to be enough for UNCW to get that cap. Hand of Khonshu now coming out for Fire Breath is the only real ultimate you have to hang your hat on, and not a lot of space as UNCW keeping their march. Huge hand, though. Huge onk, and it's going to take down Potato Pug. That's the best possible KO you can open things up with.
With a minute left, and yes, that's a fantastic ultimate, but I'm honestly surprised Master Prop did not bring out Eternal Bond in the process. I think just sacrificing the team there, going for a reset, and a fresh slate for this final push would probably be the move.
Speaking of slaying, Where Is Vision has done a lot of it with the Omega Hurricane, and that's exactly what's going to be coming out here. Fate of Both Worlds is still 6% away, and not going to be able to come out. Where Is Vision just went in an assassination with the Omega Hurricane there, gives his life for it, but that is A-okay, because you took out the Lunastone on the other side. You can definitely get space off of this.
And there we go, Teddy Chibi also using his ult. That's the Loki now swap off of the Atom. We do get to see the Cloak and Dagger counterplay, and now gets tagged afterwards. Once these two ults will go down, we'll have the continuation of a Fate of Both Worlds. This is suddenly a great turnaround for Niner, but suddenly Psionic Seduction is back. The hand of Khonshu rains down directly on top of my Seduction. I can't get seduced with Khonshu, and through it all, it's another ultimate. And Song Inferno underway directly onto the point. Before you know it, it's overtime, and Niner Esports, yes, they got rid of all of UNCW. Did I speak too soon? Perhaps I did. It's a portal coming through. What do you have to protect yourself? Certainly no ultimate. Potato Pug is gone. Master Prop has lost all of his HP. But you have to just hold on tight. Try to take as many bodies as possible. But the distance has already been made. Another fight won. Meteor M is out. A complete collapse. And UNCW, they did make quite a bit of distance.
And we're seeing signs of life from UNCW. It's not enough for them to take it all the way, but getting halfway through point C, I'd still call that a win condition. It's still very much so holdable, because point B, they lost a lot of time, and that's just one of those things that happens on a lot of these convoy maps is you get through point A, you break that spawn hold, you've already lost so much time that point B just kind of feels like a tax, and you either just run out of resources to be able to break yourself through it and stall out completely, or you're able to keep it going. The fact that we're even able to get that far, I think is going to be huge, but it gives them only maybe, I think in total, 4 to 5 at the most lost fights that they can give up. It's all going to be about the timing. It's all going to be about where they take those fights. Do they win them? What resources do they use? Are they able to keep those rotations as good as they have been up until that last moment?
Chief Candy's going to be the player that I'm looking at the most, though, CB. The fact that the Punisher is banned out means it's going to be so tough to get past these walls. What is the game plan going to be without necessarily a great damaging hit scan?
You know who's great at dealing with root walls?
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna hate me for this, but it's Squirrel Girl.
Never. Who?
Oh, you know, just a little Doreen Gray. Is it Gray her last name?
My girl Doreen, she climbs up trees. She can't climb up Storm. She's high up in the sky.
Groot is a tree.
Oh, you're right.
Talking about breaking down these root walls. I mean, you do also kind of want to have a hit scan so that you can take out the Storm, you know, dealing with where is vision. But, you know, another thing that's good for dealing with both of those things, the Wolverine for Fire Breath. You know, we saw the magic coming out. We're seeing a Kidnap coming out onto the Groot right away, using Chief Candy as a scratch and post, but already forced to take a retreat.
Well, finally now Fire Breath at least gets some of the zoomies out. Has to stay back for a little while and get some rest, preferably on top of a computer or maybe even in front of a window, like a good cat. But breaking down the walls also works out well. But it's just not enough. The Kidnap, not consistent, can't get through, and so much damage has been applied. Niner Esports have been set up and ready for this to help out the Wolverine, but no confirms as of yet.
Yeah, you see Janio just scooping him up like ice cream, slams him back down, where's Vision going to confirm another KO. That's 3 coming out right out the gate. Niner Esports, their plan so far to try and go for this dive composition hasn't worked out, so Fire Breath going to go ahead and ditch the Wolverine, make a swap over onto the Moon Knight yet again, and now we got Stars and Stripes on the Thor. Okay, we're getting some really interesting looks here. I'm curious what the goal is going to be with the Thor, because he's great at displacement, he's great at fulfilling a similar role to the Wolverine, but I'm waiting for the answer here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it. I would say that's probably what the move is. I'm wanting to see maybe a swap to a Phoenix or even a Star-Lord just to get rid of the walls and get rid of the Storm at the same exact time. As I speak, though, where is Vision? That's good for 2, and unfortunately, that is going to be the end of their life for a bit. Niner Esports have made it work out well with a quick little collapse. But
I've never eaten my words faster. I practically choked on them. You know, I'm talking about, you know, questioning the Thor pick. Stars and Stripes picks up 4 in the KO feed, you know, right out the gate.
God bless America.
Already 95%, you know, about to have that God of Thunder. Niner Esports have all the tools they could possibly want to try and snowball this the rest of the way. There's that God of Thunder coming out early, and with the Crescent Darts coming through, there's just so much damage that UNCW just can't get the retake coming through, and Niner Esports are going to cap point A with change to spare in the time bank, and now we've already given up 2 of those, like I said, potentially 5 lost fights, so you maybe only have 3 more. You can stretch that out if you're able to cycle things a little bit better than you have so far, but it just hasn't come to fruition just yet. Outside of these Omega Hurricane plays from Where is Vision, there's not really a whole lot happening for the UNCW side. We got to pick up the slack somewhere.
Yeah, I'm looking to see what the stall will be off of the Vanguards now. The Emma and the Groot are available, but again, just having that pure amount of destruction is going to make it hard for those Groot walls to exist. And there's so many off angles you can take on point 2 that the Thor can find extra added value with Chief Candy having to focus him off of an off angle.
Where's Vision with another early frag onto Fire Breath? That's another good start. Where's Vision on this Storm has been the carry for this team. The Tridents trying to take him down. Potato Pug falls. It's a real huge KO to be coming through. It's traded out on both sides, but that's going to stall the card out and give UNCW, or at least the remnants of UNCW, the opportunity to get the retake here, which they so desperately need. Quicksilver going to retreat back with the rest of the team. And that should be enough for the defense to finally get their claws back into this cart.
Yeah, just waiting off of timing now. Get tagged is at 80% off of the hands of Fate of Both Worlds. Teddy Chibi could easily use his ult, and there it is. Possibly, I would say, off of the hands of Khonshu, maybe for Eternal Bond. That's a huge double kill. And I'm not sure which ult Teddy Chibi went for.
I don't know that it really matters, honestly, if you're Niner Esports. Like,
I thought it'd be Eternal Bond.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, you can go for the Eternal Bond if you feel like it, but you know, I mean, the hand of Khonshu from Fire Breath just taking down the back line. You know, both Potato Pug and Master Pop just falling so swiftly, and now you can see UNCW trying to go for the retake here, but Niner Esports have all the ults they could possibly want. They've got the forward positioning here. The Groot wall's already burned down. Regen domain's gonna be forced out though. UNCW might be able to make a play off of this.
Okay, it looks like I read the symbols wrong. I thought for sure Teddy Chibi had gone for the ult, but apparently not. There it is. That's the ult cycling I wanted to see. But Get Tagged at the same exact time is going to bring out Fate of Both Worlds. This is a lot of support ult stacks right on top of each other. And yet, through it all, Niner Esports make it work. But I am worried about their ult cycling.
Well, I mean, you got time to build up another ult if the cycle doesn't work out for you. You still got the Horn of Proteus, and you've got
3.5 minutes, CB, yeah.
Yeah, 3.5 minutes, a Horn of Proteus and a Psionic Seduction. Like, you can combo those two, and that's a win condition right there. The problem is going to be, if you don't win with that, what are you going to be able to force out of UNCW? Because they're coming up on some strategist ults as well. They've got the Strangling Prison. They need to try and make a play now, though, because they're running out of daylight.
Oh, but Strangling Prison's going to be tough with Stars and Stripes taking those off angles. Of course, at the moment, it's very linear, but now Fire Breath in 0.5 seconds will go from 75 into having Hand of Khonshu. Okay, maybe 2 seconds instead, but it's practically there. Horn of Proteus is out. But even through it all, it's going to deny the End Song Inferno just a little bit. It does not confirm any KOs, but it is a meltdown again, and before I could even finish this sentence, Niner Esports have achieved victory.
I said that we needed to make a play with that Strangling Prison. Chief Candy understood the assignment, heard it loud and clear, and tried to go for that play, but it got shut down. I'm not sure how, and I'm not sure where, but he got stunned out of using that ultimate, and the Strangling Prison never came out. Then the Horde of Proteus flattens him and Master Pop, and we do have the Eternal Bond that we can pop, but Fire Breath is there with the damage to shut down the Cloak and Dagger before it ever comes out. Plan A and Plan B for UNCW both failed in rapid succession, and Niner Esports, with relative ease, walk the cart the rest of the way. A dominant 3-0, just an absolute display of dominance coming out from this team. From top to bottom, like, we highlight the Jeff play coming out from Get Tagged, but you switch over to the Luna Snow, still holding it down with some of the most healing in the lobby, or at the very least the most healing, you know, on his team. Master Pop and Potato Pug were really trying their hardest over on the other side, but you know, you heal all you want, but if nothing's happening, your team's not going to be able to make any forward progress. Going up against Fire Breath and Quicksilver, 18 final blows, 12, and then 17 for some rando.
Whew. Look, I always sound like a broken record. I think the most important thing when it comes to competitive games is just adaptability. Yes, you need to know how to play as a team. It's a team game. Duh. But the fact that you can adapt around so quickly, like we saw Stars and Stripes swap into that Thor pick and suddenly it was game over, is one of the biggest reasons why it's so important to understand what your enemy's bringing out and counter them.
And, you know, speaking of what your enemy was coming out with, another thing I wanted to highlight real quick, as I saw, you know, as we were turning away there, you know, I was focused so much on the winning team's KOs, whereas Vision also had 20 final blows as well. Like, that's still, you know, quite a fair bit for the side of UNCW. So even though it's a 3-0, there's still things that you can kind of take into the future and be like, okay, you know, we've got something here. We've got the building blocks to make something. We just have to try and figure out what it is. Whereas Vision on that Storm is definitely a force to be reckoned with. And like I said, the backline was doing a great job trying to keep everybody up and trying to keep them alive. But it does kind of come down a little bit to the team play and the adaptability, like you said. If this team can try and iron some of those things out, we might see UNCW reborn anew in the near future. But I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot more of Niner Esports Club Academy going forward, as they look to be one of the stronger teams in this division. The University of North Carolina is in 3 very good hands in this division.
Yep, so many hands. They've actually grown a 3rd one in the process. And maybe they should go to a doctor and check that out. CB,
Gamma radiation poisoning is a hell of a thing.
I
It'll get you when you
I
least
love
expect it.
radiation poisoning, to be honest. But I went to the doctor recently too, and they said I had something in my eyes called lattice, and it actually means like the skin of your eye is getting like stretched out and like wearing away. So pretty soon, I don't know, my eyes, they're okay right now, but they might not be forever. Luckily though, there's a lot of different options for somebody like me. But as a gremlin who stares in front of the computer all day, I just struggle, man. Like I look at the screen, it's too easy, but my eyes, they don't like me for it. But if you are a gremlin like me and you're a gamer, your eyes are going to be taking a beating. Let me tell you, my doctor, he is like, look, I've played games like these too. I have to wear glasses just like you soon. And like, all right, fine. I guess I'll have to look at options. Luckily though, Buy Blue Light has us covered. Their premium blue light glasses keep you sharp, focused, and also looking pretty dang cool, without the eye strain to go along with it. Believe me, I know. So you can level up your game and look really nice and stylish at the same exact time and protect your eyes so you can keep playing Marvel Rivals 85 years from now. And all you have to do is go to Buy Blue Light, that's BYE bluelight.com, so you can look all nice and stylish, just like CB. Blue light glasses, right?
These actually do. I got a confession. All right.
Knew it.
All right, yeah. When you were calling out my glasses, I'm like, I don't need these. I've got 20/20 vision, but these do actually have blue light filtering. So maybe I can be like get tagged. I can get in the game and I can stare at the screen for 160 hours of Jeff play and not experience the slightest bit of eye strain. Disclaimer: I'd probably still experience a fair bit after 160 hours. I think there's a limit to the human capacity. We can stretch that limit like pretty thin.
Don't do the staring at the sun contest and be the national winner. There was no other competitors. I didn't win anything.
Well, you got astigmatism now, so that's cool. Yeah.
I don't support any stigma, CB.
You know what I support? I support taking a nice little break here as we throw. Yeah, we're gonna throw it to a quick little break. We've got one more game coming up a little bit later for you, chat. This one, unfortunately, did not go the way of UNCW. Congrats to Niner Esports, but we got two more teams on deck, ready to show you what they're capable of. We're gonna take a trip up to Division 1. It's gonna be a real exciting one. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss it.
Sweet tooth, gonna get the sugar from you. When they say I'm a machine gun, I take it as a compliment. Honey, you should know I can be a weapon. I can be a weapon. Come cold blood, selfish. Your words are painless. I like when I drive and feel so dangerous. They say I'm a red flag, 'cause they want it so bad. You should know I'm holding on to what I have. When they say I'm a machine gun, I take it as a compliment. Honey, you should know I can be a weapon. I can be a weapon.
wish we stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts in my brain. I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you changed. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe her, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down. I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to.
All I seek to find is a world that's mine. Need a place to hide. Will you free my mind? Following the light of a world that's blind. In your eyes I see there's a place for me. All I seek to find is a world that's mine. Need a place to hide. Will you free my mind? Follow Do you?
'cause I gotta get to you. I gotta get to you.
we stumbled over diamonds, and I no longer fear the worst. But I've only stumbled over diamonds, and I no longer fear the worst. I used to view you as a mountain that I couldn't climb but first. But I've only stumbled over diamonds, and I no longer fear the worst. You were the calm to my storm. You could take the wind, and though the winds were calm, weighing on our shoulders, these the ice could never break us in. You were my horizon that I didn't see at first. You were my horizon, and the breeze is just what I deserve. You were my horizon that I didn't see at first. You were my horizon, and the breeze is just what I deserve.
frozen over like I am. Well, I know you know that like it's colder, colder when I'm older, older than I am. And I know you know that I have lost composure, but I'll hold you closer while I can. I never told you that I'm slightly broken, that I might lose focus when I am. I know you know that life gets colder, colder when you're frozen over like I am.
Believe it or not, my eyes have been fixed. We moved from Division 1 to Division 4 to Division 1. I'm not a very good divider, but my eyes got fixed all thanks to our beautiful blue light glasses, just similar to the ones that CB are wearing.
Yeah, and I'm glad your eyes got fixed, and they're not going to deceive you because this is going to be one that you're going to want to keep both of your eyes fixated on the entire time. I'm super excited for this one. It's the first taste we get of Division 1, and I think it's also going to tell the tale of what the actual Division 1 picture looks like, because we're on week 4 of this season, and spoiler, it does not look quite as we thought it would, especially in this group. We thought Fisher Esports would be riding high, sitting at the top, but that's not the case. There's a team that has bested them just once, and that team is Georgia Tech Gold.
That's right, Georgia Tech has looked fantastic all throughout the seasons. They have shown some quite brilliance when it comes to a lot of good plays. And let me tell you, we have a group chat with all the talent for NECC, and it was a flurry when that defeat happened.
Yeah, it was a map 5 banger, and in fact, all of the games that Georgia Tech Gold have played up to this point have been map 5 bangers, and hopefully this one is going to be more of the same, or maybe they come away with an easier win and get a break. But nevertheless, both of these teams are sitting at 1 and 2. For Georgia Tech, like I said, that one win was against who we thought would be the top dogs of this group in Fisher. Indiana Tech's one win comes against Mizzou, who are sitting towards the bottom of this group. So we need to see what Indiana Tech's power level actually is, as both of these teams, in my opinion, this is a must-win match, as one of these teams is going to break away from the pack and the other team is going to be left in the dust in the lower half here.
It's hard to say who that's going to be, who can establish the most dominance. Of course, we're not too far away from our first matchup starting. We have our first map already brought out. It's going to be the bands first. I'm very curious to see what we're going to. But CB, as our resident NECC-ologist here, Professor, I gotta know, what kind of shenanigans can we expect to see, either in maps or in individual hero picks and bans, can we expect from either team?
Well, I would expect to see some symbiote shenanigans, because both of these teams are going to be very well aware of how strong Venom was, and going into this patch definitely is. And even though Jeff caught a little bit of a nerf, we already saw, in the last series just how strong Jeff can be. And a lot of pro teams, a lot of pro teams are still picking Jeff the Shark and getting away with it. And I expect both of these teams are going to be willing to reach for that well as well. They're also going to be taking us to All Reliable. We're starting things off once again on Hell's Heaven. And this is an interesting one, because as I'm talking about the Jeff, I also kind of wanted to highlight the Adam Warlock. Some of these teams, at these higher levels like to kind of play this back and forth between the Adam and the Jeff. This is a map where I kind of feel like the Adam has the edge.
I do think the Adam has the edge, but it really depends on what subsidiary section you go for, starting off in Hell's Heaven too. If you go with the lava section, I think Jeff is probably your best bet, but that's 2 out of 3 of the sections that have the most reliable environmental damage that you can bring out. But unfortunately, speaking of Venom, we're not going to see him.
As a smart man from Georgia Tech Gold, it doesn't completely gut the Jeff Landshark pick, but it will actually kind of make Indiana Tech think twice before they actually want to bust that out. And even again, without it, both Jeff and Venom very strong in their own right, so I do kind of like that. Pretty big salvo right out the gate from Georgia Tech. Heliban on the other side, that could also be a signal flare for what they might want to play.
I mean, look, everything's strong from the newest patch. We're just getting out of the way. No Venom, no Hella. You can have Namor, but you have no Hella. It's like having peanut butter without jelly.
I also kind of I have some thoughts on that team up, by the way. I think it's a really strong team up, but I think it's also because it's a double duelist team up, you're kind of locking in your entire front line. You're fully committed to that. It's not the same as when you had the Hulk and Namor team up, where you're playing around that, but you can have the rest of your team kind of doing its whole thing. It's no, if you're playing if you're playing Hella Namor, that is your source of damage. You are playing that ranged duelist lineup.
Yeah, I mean, that level of diversity afterwards really has to come down to how your vanguards and your strategists want to play around those two duelists. It's not really often you have a team composition that is solely duelist focused, but hey, speaking of those duelists though, we do have the Star-Lord locked in and the Psylocke is gone, so probably not as much flank control Georgia Tech has to worry about.
Rocket ban. I think that's the first time I've seen that one, but I have heard whisperings that Rocket has been making a slow comeback. He did also get a buff in the recent patch. His ultimate a lot more effective on the damage amp side of things, but not going to be a factor here. Also going to shut down the Rocket Network team-up, which a lot of teams have been utilizing with the Star-Lord recently. They've started to figure out how to use that in order to better position the Star-Lord. Not going to be a factor, so I kind of like that in response to the Star-Lord Protect from Georgia Tech. And of course, we got a Jeff Protect and then a Punisher Protect on the other side.
You can already see what both teams want to go for. The Jeff Protect, we're absolutely going to see some focuses of like Division 4. But the Punisher too, I think this is more simple city for Georgia Tech. They just want to go for straight damage. Probably not a lot of backline potential for their team. I would imagine maybe the Star-Lord has some potential to off-angle a little bit, but Denial of the Psylocke goes to show that really Georgia Tech wants to be a front-loads, full-loaded damaging team.
Pick your hero.
With the Ultron ban coming out from Indiana Tech, I do kind of like the strategy coming out here. I think Indiana Tech have tried to, kind of moneyball this a little bit, get themselves in a situation where, like you said, we already alluded to, they have access to the Jeff, and I think they're trying to force Georgia Tech to try and play an Adam Warlock composition. Adam Warlock did make it to the pick ban phase. In fact, you can see Indiana Tech hovering over both of those heroes, so maybe they're just going to leverage both of the broken strategists right now. But I would kind of like to see Georgia Tech potentially reach for the Adam Warlock as well, and then, you have that kind of counterplay like we talk about between the Res and between the Jeff ultimates. But with Georgia Tech, no such thing. This is like some good old-fashioned Marvel Rivals, double shield with some real strong duelists and, good old-fashioned high heal strategists.
That's true, but Sojora's going to have to put in so much work to make that value work out well. Okay, moving away from the Star-Lord, I like this more. You have the Bucky, you have yourself Emma to find damage. Jonga, I think, is trolling us a little. Yeah, okay, I see what you're doing. Overall, I think Indiana Tech has a very solid composition as long as the Vanguards can play around well with Sojora.
It's going to be a lot of synergy coming out from the side of Indiana Tech, as well as two members of their team, by the way, coming from their Valorant B team. So, a little bit of cross esports play coming through from both sides. Early Strange TP going to come out from P-Dougie. I already see the chat going crazy. We got some big P-Dougie fans. We'll see if the Kidnap comes to fruition as they're all going to pour right on through there. Get caught with an early Terror Cape. Seeing the swap coming off of the Penny, it looks like Georgia Tech scouted this, and they are not going to be falling for P-Dougie's tricks.
Absolutely. Georgia Tech, of course, they do their homework. They're looking fantastic early on, but Sojora gonna have to find in that damage early on. It's a swap back away from the Bucky into the Star-Lord yet again. Could find some more isolated damage to maybe assassinate one hero to the next, but again, you really just need to rack in damage for someone to confirm those KOs. Not gonna be the potential just yet. It's gonna be Kirbo to be the first one to do so. Georgia Tech, they're losing people like flies.
Yeah, Indiana Tech, even though they don't get the better of that Strange TP exchange, they still get a favorable position here, and Georgia Tech kind of just back themselves up into a corner there. They get a early KO that comes out from the Punisher there onto Sojora Pour there. And, that kind of feels like, okay, Georgia Tech are probably to take this fight, but no, off the back of the Jeff and Kirbo being able to get some of that damage in, getting a lot of healing in, and already building up real close to that it's Jeff. Indiana Tech are able to flip it. They're also coming up on the Karmic Revival. And again, Adam Warlock is just kind of busted right now. All right, you got to be prepared for 2 fights. Georgia Tech Gold with no ultimates yet, no positioning, no nothing. It's going to be a good 40 to 50% gain here from Indiana Tech at least.
All right, it's time to hold our lungs. We start with Yagamoto. Everybody freezes in place. It's a red light. And then guess what? There's other ults to come. Luckily, though, Fate of Both Worlds will help us, Severin, and Georgia Tech are starting to mow down people. It lasts a little bit longer, but guess what? It may be short-lived. Jonga goes for the revive off of the Karmic Revival and sends all the players back into that secondary fight that UCB had pointed out. But will that second fight come to fruition? Jonga falls, Psionic Seduction return. I think this is Indiana Tech regrouping.
Yeah, and again, like you go in with that Eye of Agamotto and you pop the Fate of Both Worlds from the side of Georgia Tech Gold. There's no contingency plan for when that Karmic Revival comes out, and essentially Indiana Tech are right back at full strength. So what is Plan B? We don't really have one. Luckily, they were able to force out Twisted's Fate of Both Worlds as well. So now this Galactic Legend here from Pachko should be able to find pay dirt. The only question is, are you going to be able to get through the choke? Sonic Seduction is going to say no.
Well, Pachko does have Intergalactic Legend. This would be the time to maybe go up and around and maybe try to flank the entire team, but we'll see if that becomes a possibility. There's at least one gone and another duelist of food. Pachko's taking a wealth of damage off screen as well, but luckily though, P-Dug guy is the man of the chat and he's looking pretty dang good. He has his shields open, of course, it falls, but he himself can be a human shield. Agamotto is set up and ready to go, but guess what? You get to keep that for point 2.
Yeah, as you can see Indiana Tech, they just keep their foot on the gas, take the fight right to Georgia Tech Gold, and there's no real space to get through. We talked about Pachko having that Galactic Legend, being able to try and circumvent. You know, he sees the Sonic Seduction comes out, knows that if he gets caught, he's not going to get the opportunity to pop that ultimate, so he tries to take an alternate angle, but the rest of the team just falls over. They roll over and die, and there's not really a whole lot that you can do. Do you pop that ultimate and just try and risk going for the hero play? No, you try and carry that one on over to the next one, so... Yeah, Frozen Airfield is going to go to Indiana Tech quite handily, 100-0. And now as we move over to Eldritch Monument, that Galactic Legend is still going to be a factor. But time is on Indiana Tech's side as now they can match it. And if they take an initiative on this fight here, get an early advantage, potentially even go for another teleport play because they might be able to come out with that early on, they can buy their backline time to be able to answer Pachko's Galactic Legend.
Both duelist ultimates from Georgia Tech can shut down Kerbo's It's Jeff ultimate, but they have to be timed perfectly.
Seeing Georgia Tech just hoofing it the old-fashioned way. I'm looking at those silhouettes, though, through the screen there, and I do hear a strange TP coming out from Indiana Tech, so an interesting angle going to be taken. It's not used to try and go for a flank or any sort of kidnap play this time, just to try and take an advantageous angle on the point. They've got complete high ground control. That's going to make Pachko think twice about trying to pop this Galactic Legend. He knows he's going to be checked every single time he pokes his head out.
He's going to be checked, and double shields are going to make it very difficult to find maximum value off of this ultimate. He'll have to do it perfectly. He goes for the Intergalactic Legend. Could that be the start of one? Kerbo takes a wealth of damage, but it's not enough to confirm a KO. That might be the shutdown of ultimate number 1. Koda might have to be forced to use Final Judgment off the hands of the It's Jeff, and he most certainly does. The Bathing Seal Warrior's good for 1, but cannot shut down the Jeff. He does help clear away the site. Like a janitor mopping things away, he finds his value, but will it be enough? The answer is somewhat yes, but a little bit no. Fate of Both Worlds is procced out in return, and all the ultimates at once are wiped away. But that's going to be Georgia Tech confirming the point first.
Very resilient to commit to using that Galactic Legend. You know, even through the Soul Bond, Jonga keeps the team alive for a while, but they don't have the Karmic Revival. Now we're going to have the Galactic Legend coming out from the side of Indiana Tech alongside of Sonic Seduction. Both sides, the smell of Emma's perfume is wafting through the entirety of Hell's Heaven right now. There's the Karmic Revival now coming out to give Indiana Tech the edge, but can they find the KOs off the back of it? With an Eye of Agamotto, it gets frozen out. P-Dougie can't find the eye.
P-Dougie gets performance anxiety off the hands of that freeze. That's quite unlucky. Luckily, though, he does get it back to 50%, and it racks up quick. He can Agamotto back again very shortly, but he's going to have to bide his time and find the perfect opportunity. I Do It switches over to the Captain America, and it's going to be a good time to change up the tempo, be much faster into the next engagement. But, oh my god, everyone's getting hunted down.
Now the next engagement is coming straight to your doorstep, delivered next day air. We're gonna have that It's Jeff coming out from It's Kerbo, so Indiana Tech, they're gonna give some ground and just try and play off the back of that, and potentially, like you said, try and build back up to this Eye of Agamotto, because there's no strategist on the other side they have to worry about. So P-Dougie can strike pay dirt, and he's going for it. He goes deep.
It happened
hits
again!
With the Carbon Crush!
Oh no! It's madness any which way you look! It's the Agamotto shutdown. Kerbo gets the It's Jeff in return. The trees burn into lava. And in the process, there's no distance made for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, no distance at all. They can't even get out of their spawn right now. Indiana Tech just have them completely shut in there, and now Real Twisted's got that Fate of Both Worlds. Another thing they're gonna have to try and break through. We're gonna see the Galactic Legend come out in this next fight, I believe, answered with either the Eternal Bond, and yeah, indeed, it will be the Eternal Bond. So Severin's gonna have to hold on to this Fate of Both Worlds. If you're Indiana Tech, you have to be ready for that next wave.
Once again, it is just a flurry, and at this moment, you gotta look at the ult timer from every single one of these players because it's gonna rack up so quick. No one can take any damage. Everyone's prepping for the next cycle of ults. Psionic Seduction is back out, and my god, am I seduced. That's the entire point. Should be in the control of Georgia Tech, but still Indiana Tech themselves taking control. Oh, Karmic Revival
coming out. It's going to find 3, and all these tools that Georgia Tech used just to get on the point. Now they don't have them to try and flip the point. Fate of Both Worlds is going to be all they have now. Strangling Prison coming out, but there's a response on the other side with the Psionic Seduction. The damage is there, though, and Georgia Tech are on the right side of the kill feed, but it's going to be 99%, and Eye of Agamotto going to come out from P-Duggy, but it's not going to be enough to confirm the KOs, and that should be Georgia Tech finally getting themselves on the board.
Oh, Emma beaten into oblivion, and so does Adam. It's a confirm from Georgia Tech. They've defied the odds.
Yeah, but it costs them everything to do it. Luckily, you know, it took so long that they're going to be coming up on another Eternal Bond, and they're going to have a final judgment, so they should be able to hold here. But at 99%, the margin of error is essentially gone, and they're also not trying to get too aggressive. They're not able to go for that super aggro spawn hold like Indiana Tech were going for. Instead, they're just waiting for the fight to come to them. Yeah, it's the only option they really have, and they have to try and use that time to build up to more ultimates so they can keep these rotations in check.
Again, Kerbo's ultimate's going to force out Patch Goes just to counter the ultimate. You do not go down inside Jeff's mouth when you are locked in with your super gun. But that's going to be the group gone. That's not a good start for Georgia Tech on this re-engagement from Indiana Tech. You got to make sure you can play the super well. A shotgun to the face could be an answer. Final Judgment still available, but now you have Eternal Bond at your feet. You might not want to risk it just yet, but go for it. It's Jeff in return. Can you counter the Jeff? Jeffrey gets away! Jeffrey the Shark does it once again. That's the Cloak and Dagger found and eaten. Brought down to the lava, charred and barbecued. Another duelist gone in the process. It is a back and forth once more. But Indiana Tech have been holding the line. Could this be the Kraken impact? No. Not even given an opportunity. That's going to be another.
It's back-to-back point wins. Easy 2-0 for Indiana Tech. A hell of an opening salvo for a team that I think, you know, looking at the score lines up to this point, we were probably putting our money on Georgia Tech Gold, but we got to be looking over at Indiana Tech. They came out strong with that Jeff strategy. Kerbo, Sharks known for their slipperiness, apparently dodges every single bullet like the Matrix, doesn't get hit with that final judgment, and then is able to get that Cloak and Dagger spit off the side of the map there. Unfortunately, Convex, I think, just didn't have the dark teleportation, couldn't levitate back up and get to safety. I mean, and even if you do, you're going to face an angry Shark when you get there. Not only is Kerbo Johnny on the spot with the ults there, but also 20k healing, really holding it down for the team. And I gotta ask, you know, we're in the MRC ban phase, so Jeff and Adam were available for both sides. Georgia Tech opt to use neither of them, and Indiana Tech use both, and they are just clearly prepared for any engagement.
Yeah, it really felt like more of a specialized comp coming out from Indiana Tech, where it was more, I don't want to say a basic composition for Georgia Tech, but it really felt like it was your bog standard to figure out how a team like Indiana wants to play and maybe go from there. But I expected major changes going to the second point. Maybe a triple strategist, maybe even triple duelist, if your team is comfortable enough to do that, to counter out the triple strategist. But unfortunately, we just didn't see that.
I think you might, if you're not going to play the Jeff or the Adam, I think you want to try, like, you're going to probably have to deal with some type of triple strategist composition because there's so many viable variations of triple strategists, but those are the ones that you want to avoid right now because they're the most annoying to deal with. Adam, I've asked around why more teams don't just ban out Adam Warlock, and it seems to be that most people have kind of figured out how to deal with him. You just have to kind of mark him and know where he's playing for his Karmic Revival, and then you go in with something like a Jeff. But in this situation, we don't have one-sided bans, so you could totally pull out the Jeff and you can try to play for those Adam Warlock plays. Or you can bust out an Adam Warlock of your own and try and bait out some aggression from the Jeff, maybe try and punish it. There's ways you can go with this, but you can't just be giving up all of the strongest heroes to the other team. Like you ain't gonna win that way, I'm sorry.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see the bans and picks look a little bit more solid going into the second map, which we will find out. Drum roll.
The graphics gone. I don't know if we actually are getting the next map. Okay,
yes,
there we go.
Hall of Daljalia.
Hall of Daljalia. Right,
wow.
Well, another. Yeah, it kind of feels like deja vu, doesn't it?
Kind of feels like deja vu, doesn't it?
Yeah, all over again. You can say that again.
Yeah, all over again. You could say that again.
Well, we'll see if the bands look any similar to what we had before. Last time we played Holiday Jalia, or last time we saw Holiday Jalia, we were singing the same tune. It was the tune Baby Shark, basically.
Yeah.
We gotta ban this Jeff. It's another strong Jeff map. It's also another strong Adam map. You can't let the other team have both of those if you're not going to play one or the other. So yeah. I hate to sound like a broken record just saying all day, please ban Jeff, but you gotta, right?
That's
Like
what's
you're
necessary.
gonna lose.
Maybe even keep the Venom alive.
We'll see if they're able to keep the Venom alive this time around. Emma is going to be the ban coming right out the gate for Georgia Tech, and I don't hate that either. We were seeing mirrored Sonic Seductions coming out from both sides, but I do think Indiana Tech were actually getting the better of those exchanges. Rocket ban again. Okay, Indiana Tech is definitely, they've got their finger on the pulse if the Rocket rumors are true.
Yep, finger on the pulse. I completely agree. First reserve, honestly, probably a Jeff. Make sure you just keep that alive.
Yeah, I mean, like at this point, like.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Adam.
I'll take that.
All right. I don't hate that. Like, I actually kind of prefer that to a Jeff Protect, because if you can lose one or the other, honestly, on this map, I'd kind of prefer to be able to keep the Adam, because Jeff kind of peters out in his usefulness around the third point. Adam is just like universally good. There's so many places. There's so many places he can post up to try and get that karmic revival. I kind of feel like, yeah, like, you can afford a Jeff ban, but I would like to. There it is. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. We're taking notes. We're referring back to the lessons given. We've passed the test so far.
Yeah, not bad so far. I'm a little shaky about the Star-Lord Protect just because it didn't seem like it was super useful in the last map, but I think Convergence compared to Domination does favor Star-Lord just a tiny bit more. I think just when you have such an open-ended area and people consolidate, it's very hard to find value off of Star-Lord, but a Hella pick and ban in return, is pretty good. You are nullifying some more higher damage output. And so I think Georgia Tech may be skimping for options if that's the case and they find little value off of Star-Lord later on.
Ooh, Doctor Strange Protect. I'm not sure if that was necessary, because I don't know if Georgia Tech were going to go for a Doctor Strange ban, but I also kind of like the Protect because it does ensure that on the defensive side, you get the opportunity for that last second recontest, go back in and try and prevent the full cap. You can try and go back in for some of those hero plays, really drag out some of these fights alongside the Adam Warlock. I mean, one of these fights alone could last 10 minutes.
Absolutely. We like the long fights, and we like to see the multi-waves that comes from with the Karmic Revival. Venom is going to be protected, which makes me think Georgia Tech wants to dive very heavily on their attacking side. And with a Mantis ban, that's going to hopefully help struggle for options on Indiana Tech when it comes to a triple strategist comp. We would be looking at what? Maybe an Adam. You could have a Luna still. You could still have your Cloak and Dagger. You just don't have as much damage upping options.
Earlier before we started, though, Prod did ask a question that I'm gonna echo. We were asked if Collegiate had picked up on the legend of the Adam Warlock Loki meta, which it doesn't look like we're seeing coming out from Indiana Tech. Thank God, because God, imagine 2 Karmic Revivals. That's hell on earth right there. No, they're gonna go with a Luna, a Cloak and Dagger, and an Adam. But I will say, if you want to play triple strategist and you want to be extra annoying, you really could swap out, one of those main healers for a Loki there. Just really be the ultimate pest.
Especially starting on defense too. You would have that stalwart defensive setup. It's perfect to go for a Loki here on the first point. Especially if Georgia Tech wants to go for a dive off the hands of this Venom. This could be the opportunity to do it.
I think it'd be a good strategy, but I mean, with the Venom Protect coming through, you also have to be fully aware that Georgia Tech want to try and come out with the Venom. The question, though, is like, how are they actually going to be able to leverage this Venom right now? Because they're not going to have the Jeff, so there's not going to be anybody to really follow up and help the Venom set up and augment those dives. It's still attack response, so they can make some swaps, but the Venom's kind of going to be diving on his own. It's going to be up to Pajko to try and make something out of that. So
yeah.
Probably going to be playing some really aggressive angles.
I'm glad you highlighted that, because I think the duality between Pajko and I Do It is just going to be hell in a cell for Indiana Tech. They have to play this perfectly. This Doctor Strange needs to be the ultimate blocker for Venom to make sure no value is given at all for space. As soon as we see Georgia Tech get on point, I don't think they're going to let go.
Right now, Pajko already being checked there by Raimi. Or it's just not Yeah, you're not able to get that aggressive angle right now, and all the value means that there's like all the value that Raimi's getting right now means that there's not going to be any follow-up from these Venom dives. So Georgia Tech aren't going to be able to make a whole lot out of this. In fact, the Venom goes in, gets frozen up. We're going to see the symbiotic resilience forced out early and already off the reset.
This needs to be the value of the triple strategist now from Indiana. They can't lose any players here, and they certainly don't. It's the strategists finding the final hits off of Georgia Tech.
Real Twisted is one of those Valorant players. You know, the aim is going to be coming to effect when you see those Ice Art shots coming through, the claps coming on through, and yeah, getting some final blows there and also building up to an early fate of both worlds. Pachko again going to go for this same angle. And I mean, eventually you're gonna find success with this. Actually, you can see Indiana Tech are playing really far forward. Pachko's going to draw a little bit of aggro here. But where is the Venom? Where is the dive coming through? Are we going to be able to capitalize off that? Taking down the Star-Lord on the other side, that's a good way to start. Suddenly the sky should be clear for Pachko now to find what he needs.
All right, this is a good way to make that entry back in. Like you mentioned, that's going to be Sajora gone. Now a staggering off of the hands of the duelist. That could be the revive off of the hands of Jonga. He's not around for the Karmic Revival just yet, but there's plenty of strategist options to stall for time. Hey, suddenly it's now available. Meteor M is abound though. Can it snipe the Cloak and Dagger? The answer is no. But there's ult after ult after ult after ult everywhere. No one can do a dang thing. Bodies are falling though, at least in the back line, but there's still no capping potential for Georgia Tech. 2 minutes on the clock and nothing has been found.
Well, Pachko's been found there. Already taking the health pack. Gonna find the Star-Lord on the other side again. And Georgia Tech still are able to keep their foot in the door, at least for the time being. But they've already used the Feast of the Abyss and the Galactic Legend. Luckily, they burned the Strategist ults. But look how Indiana Tech are postured right now. They are happy to take these losses. Eye of Agamotto gonna come out. Huge Maelstrom of Madness. And there's the Karmic Revival. So even knowing that Raimi's Eye of Agamotto is all in vain, there is now another fight ready to go.
This has to be the denial now. Pachko is our protagonist, our first player. We have to see what he can do to stop this push. And the answer is yes, we can from the back. We gotta stall out these strategists. They are the win con. But condition no more. Things have been stopped directly onto the point. It's nearly a second tick now for Georgia Tech. But now's the time to stop it. Get rid of Indiana Tech. Make sure we have a chance to bring things into convoy mode. But Pachko is so worse for wear. 48 HP, manages to pick up a health pack, but he's leaving his own teammate for death. But guess what? Death says not today. We're Georgia.
And we're not going to get the teleport coming out from Indiana Tech either, so Georgia Tech will be able to capture off the back of it. And that's kind of the double-edged sword of these Adam Warlock compositions, is it all kind of spirals out of control as Jonga goes to that Karmic Revival. Yeah, you are able to get your team a second lease on life, in fact, a second life entirely, but you have to play so far back and give up so much space to do it that Georgia Tech Gold, all they really have to do is just stop Indiana Tech from getting back on the point, and they do just that. It takes them a little while to put them down permanently, but they are able to cap off the back of that. Unfortunately, though, they haven't been able to get a whole lot of space. Another Eye of Agamotto gonna come out. Raimi going so aggressive here, but the Meteor M is gonna soak up all the follow-up damage.
Oh, that's so unlucky. Meteor M, had it found damage, could have completely broken up the front and back lines, but it is just Chaos City once again. Every ultimate under the sun, you see all the 100%s go into zeros. Kraken arm for a Kraken impact. Zoda is able to find so much extra added space for Jordan. Maybe, probably secure the second point.
Bucky's kind of strong, guys. Bucky's kind of strong, my friends.
He's okay.
No, I'm not going to see the portal here. Indiana Tech just going to go on foot the old-fashioned way. They're going to use an Eternal Bond to try and roll out the red carpet so they have an easier walk up to the point here. But with the invisible boundary coming out for Georgia Tech, they should be able to parlay this.
All right, but after all these support ults go down, it's going to be Sajora with the Intergalactic Legend with the help of the Fate of Both Worlds off the hands of Twist. That's going to be gigantic. Luckily, though, there's a counter. Convex keeping their ult in their pocket. Fate of Both Worlds out once again, and there's nothing Sajora can do. He's facing directly on top of the Luna ult, and eventually Kerbo's good for one, no longer able to play the Jeff. It has to be the Cloak, and it is just a massacre everywhere. Indiana Tech, at least now, have found their way to dig their heels in.
And this is where it's going to get real dangerous because the walk-up is so long for Georgia Tech Gold that it's going to take them like 10, 20 seconds just to get someone back on the point, and they're going to have to make the Doctor Strange switch if the time is no longer on their side. Luckily, with a minute and a half, they can maybe take two good fights here. But the problem is, one of those two fights is going to be a long one, because look what Jonga has.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the Meteor M in return. How can you savage the space up? And the answer is you absolutely could, but only found damage and no KO potential. There's that Karmic Revival. Comes out a little early, but just in time too, because this fight was not a winning one for Indiana Tech. How do we drain the timer? How do we do it well? Well, the answer, of course, is the Karmic Revival, but still, Georgia Tech, they're going for the push. They haven't given up. Eye of Agamotto descends from the sky, but doesn't find the same impact as before. Twist is good for one. Pachko falls. The Venom finds more. But is it enough to convert the second point? The answer could be yes, but this pesky Star-Lord did not want to fall until now. 35 seconds are left. The initial push was at a minute 30. A minute wasted. And now, 2 minutes gained on the clock.
This is still holdable for Indiana Tech, though. They're going to have the teleporter as well, so they can take some more aggressive fights if they need to. It's not worth it to really use it towards the end of point B, but for point C, you might have your hand forced and have no real choice, though. For Georgia Tech Gold, being able to capture that off of a huge Feast of the Abyss, by the way. We talk about the Venom buffs, that ultimate. Didn't even need the anti-healing on the end of it. Just one quick chomp, 2 dead members of Indiana Tech, and that's all you need. Eternal Bond gonna come out now from Indiana Tech. They want to take this fight straight to the cart. Do not give Georgia Tech an inch.
Indiana Tech's got to ult cycle very well. That's the fate of, Eternal Bond starting off real quick, but the fate of both worlds needs to return as soon as that goes underway. Intergalactic Legends available now for Sajora, but I don't know when that's going to find availability. Severin is holding on to this invisible boundary just for that ultimate.
Also gonna have the Kraken impact coming on from Zoda. We know how strong of an ultimate this can be. Might be actually just trying to wait for the Karmic Revival to come online and just kind of farm that for the resets, because those are easy KOs to come through, especially if Jonga doesn't hold on to the Soul Bond. Really Galactic Legend gonna come out, and there you go, just like you said, invisible boundary.
Oh man, a boundary indeed. Sajora, again, we've seen these ultimates so many times now from him, but this Star-Lord is just not finding any impact. Oh no, way to rub it in! But Joko, no! It's only one, but the Meteor shuts him down! Oh no, they're born again, but can they fall as soon as they're born? No, there's protection. It's gonna be every ultimate again. We're just bringing them in by the truckload. 20 seconds left, and there isn't much left for the final fight after this. Agamotto's down, and then the Meteor M on top. Everything is descending from the skies, and through it all, only Zoda falls. Oh, never mind.
And unfortunately,
GP.
Zoda falling was the problem. Zoda had that Kraken impact, and that was the wing addition for Georgia Tech, especially after all the Strategist ultimates were used. Drimey's going to go in and find 2. Pachko is down. There's not going to be a good opportunity to use this Kraken impact. It's now or never.
One
but
last
the
attack.
Galactic Legend.
Is it gonna be enough, Sajora? Please find one! Invincible boundary again! But it works this time! Severin takes down the boundary wielder, and Indiana Tech, one hell of a hold.
They could not lose Zoda there. The Kraken impacts needed to be online to answer that Karmic Revival, and they even, like, Indiana Tech even doubled down off of that and popped that Fate of Both Worlds, which, yeah, that would have protected them through the Kraken impact, but once that's gone, there's nothing. There is nothing to stop you except for a couple of stray shots from the mag cannon coming out from P. Dougie at just the right moment, and it just doesn't happen. And it takes so long for the walk back for Zoda to get back to the point that you build up time for Rapport to build up to that Galactic Legend, and suddenly you're the one who's behind the 8 ball. You're the one who has to play reactive. You are the one who can't actually set the tempo of the fight the way that you want to. That's so well played at the defensive side there from Indiana Tech. But for Georgia Tech, I still hold that that is a win condition. I think you can still hold on either point A or point B and call it good, because the walk up on point B is lethal.
It certainly is. I know sometimes people are a little apprehensive about a defensive Venom, but he is so good about taking damage and racking up early strategist ults. And with the fact that there's only 2 strat ults from Georgia Tech, have to make this dive work. Is this going to be a possibility?
No, 100%. There's also a ton of great walls for him to just lurk around and go for the early diving strikes. You know, you just wait for Indiana Tech to walk up into your kill box, and then you go for the dive there. But they're going to be circumventing that entirely and going for a teleport play just to take the high ground essentially for free. Georgia Tech have no choice but to give this one up now and try and play for it. Wherever this Venom is, going to be looking for an opportunity to jump on and prevent them from getting down safely.
Oh, look at this. You just completely give up control of the site. Georgia Tech, there's nowhere to go. They're forced to face the lower bridge, and even up above near the portal, it's going to be 1 by 1. So much straggling to get on forwards, but Indiana Tech, they have the opportunity to do this. They just need to be able to assert that control. And assert that control, they do. Indiana Tech reclaiming their throne. Zoda unfortunately does fall. Back at least. He doesn't fall, he doesn't get KO'd immediately just yet, but in the process though, 1 by 1 again, trying to take these fights. Another portal emerges. Indiana Tech for the attack. They have the convergence control. They bring it to Convoy. And this is looking, again, good on the individual basis for 1v1s.
It all just comes off the back of P. Dougie again with that opening frag on the Magneto, taking down I Do It, and then we see the swap to the Doctor Strange come out, but the portal is too little too late and too high to get your feet back down on the ground when you need to try and contest that point. So Georgia Tech, they just kind of give it up for free, and now they have to try and play for a point B hold, which is very doable, but for 5 minutes, that's going to be a tall order. Galactic Legend is going to be the opening salvo. They've got to find something with this.
I was gonna mention 5 minutes on the clock. We saw how big the holds were before, but CB, these are ult cities again. We've seen how much Sol comes out from these.
Yeah, we're also going to have Eye of Agamotto now coming out, but it doesn't matter what Georgia Tech do because there is going to be a Karmic Revival on deck for Jonga. He falls, but he's got the Cocoon, so that very well might be the next play.
Yeah, but how are you going to waste 4 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock with not a lot of, well, there is plenty of distance, sure, but the ult cycling needs to be perfect.
Jonga's actually going to hold on to that Karmic Revival fall again, and Georgia Tech have actually managed to stick their heels in the sand for now, force Indiana Tech back, and continue to, or they force Jonga to continue to hold on to that Karmic Revival, but that's a ticking time bomb. You have to track that, and you have to know where he is playing, and you have to be able to shut that one down. And on top of that, you know you have to be able to win the fight before that without overexpending. Make sure that you have something left in the tank for the cavalry that's going to be coming back here, because the ult bank for Indiana Tech is scary, they know it, and they're going to play around that win condition.
Well, speaking of cavalry, if I ever bought a horse, I would name it Psylocke, because as soon as that Karmic Revival comes out, Dance of the Butterflies will be all over it. Now, if I had a Meteor M, I'd probably be looking for Psylocke too, but I think Convex on the Luna is the next best thing. A meltdown from Indiana's end. Karmic Revival not necessary if nobody falls.
Still an opportunity for one more touch here, though, for Georgia Tech. And they do still have access to the Strange TP if they need it, but this is where you're going to be kind of weighing your options. Do you try and take it, because you might need it for that point C hold. Georgia Tech have the ultimates to try and force this one out, but they need to, again, deal with Jonga, as they still have not been able to do so. You can see the Eye of Agamotto going to come out from Raimi in a huge Maelstrom of Madness.
Oh my, Dance of the Butterflies, not even waiting for the ultimate. You don't need to at this point. You've already done your job, Zoda. You need to make sure you can hold this point and delay that timer even more. 3 minutes on the clock. Even if you bring it over to P3, it's not going to be the best scenario, but you waste some time.
You also kind of waste that Fate of Both Worlds from Convex. That was not the best use there. The fight was already won, and Indiana Tech were already disengaging, so they're just going to go ahead and let that one go down the drain. Luckily, you still have an invisible boundary. That's good news for Georgia Tech going into this next fight, but you would have liked to be able to have something for once this Karmic Revival comes out. And by the way, Jonga didn't have the Cocoon for that Dance the Butterfly last time. He'll have it now, so he'll get 2 opportunities to pop this Karmic Revival.
That's right, there's not really a hard counter ultimate-wise for the Karmic Revival in this next fight. Pachko is close with Intergalactic Legend, but it depends about tracking this Adam Warlock, and honestly, how can you track anything when there's so many ultimates around? Just bring out the Intergalactic Legend, and he certainly does! That's 2 gone. Dance of the Butterflies, even if it was available, not to be seen. This is the Sajora I've wanted to find, and he nearly wipes out the entire team!
Jonga gonna go ahead and take that last KO there onto Pachko, and Twist good for, Twist is good for 1 as well. That's the point B cap, and now if you're Georgia Tech, 3.5 minutes to hold only halfway through point C. I don't like their chances, because look at the ult bank. Again, Jonga has not had his hand force on that Karmic Revival. Meteor M coming online, Eye of Agamotto, and then you're gonna have the Fate of Both Worlds as well. Like, all of those things, worst case scenario could just be used to buy time to another Galactic Legend, and that could be what closes it out. Pachko gonna open up with one of his own, but there's the Meteor M, just gonna slurp up all the damage there, but it's a little bit too much as the bubble pops.
All I'm saying is if you're Georgia Tech and you don't have a lot of room left, you gotta break the glass for the emergency Squirrel Girl. Jonga goes for the Karmic Revival, and this needs to be stopped now. Pachko, he's on the point, but he's simply not enough. It can't be a Star-Lord alone to take them all down. Eye of Agamotto Does it find anything? No, it doesn't. There's a meter and 74 left, and Zoda wipes away the entirety of Indiana Tech. This is the reset they desperately needed.
Perfectly timed Dance to the Butterfly. No notes. Waits until the Karmic Revival and the Fate of Both Worlds were coming out. Twisted wanted to use that one to try and keep everybody alive, because I don't know if there was a soul bond available or any snaps after John got rezzed, so you weren't able to get the team back up to full health. You needed to be able to weather that storm, so Zoda just buys his time and strikes at just the right moment. And now Georgia Tech have the tools they need to start this ult rotation. They can't take heavy casualties there, so Zoda getting frozen up, that's a little bit scary, but he's going to be able to thaw back out, get back in the fight. P. Dougie falling, that's another good start.
Turbo's got that Eternal Bond. That's going to be a proc counter for the Meteor M. Ultimates are built up again and again. Look at how much room you have. That is 4 meters. That's barely anything. Zoda's got to play this perfectly because that Dance of the Butterflies could come back out again. P. Dougie switches over to Captain America. Stall City, population 6. Will it be enough, though, for this team to make that final push? Intergalactic Legend into a boundary. Pazco is there. It is a space battle, and I don't know which planet will win. Majonga's not long for this world either. The strategists are falling. This is Indiana Tech for the attacking hold again. They push the hold. They've gone up 2 meters, but still Meteor M could have been available, but Indiana Tech does it again.
Georgia Tech really needed to go first in that last fight. Pachko had the Galactic Legend. There were no strategist ults to shut him down, but Indiana Tech take the initiative. They pop their own Galactic Legend, force the hand of Georgia Tech. They force that invisible boundary out and still are able to find the frags through it. Perfect play, flawless stuff coming out from Indiana Tech. And again, we were looking at this team, and their only win so far came against Mizzou, who is at the bottom of the leaderboards right now. And we're scratching our heads wondering, what is this team capable of? What does the landscape of this Division 1 group actually look like? Georgia Tech Gold took maps and, in fact, took a whole series off of the would-be Kings and Fisher, and are being made to look weak right now at the hands of Indiana Tech.
I wonder if it's a case of just simply not preparing for your enemy team. It's hard to say. Indiana Tech, they haven't changed their general strategy from the first to the second games, and yet here it is. This Adam Warlock, the triple strategist composition, has been rocking Georgia Tech. They need to find an answer desperately.
I mean, and the answer, I think you do have to lean a little bit more heavily on your duelist lines, because we saw Zoda and we saw Pachko. We saw the scoreboard there very briefly. Numbers big, yes, but win no come, unfortunately. So, I mean, maybe we crank those numbers up even higher. Maybe we just break it to a threshold that even Indiana Tech can't respond to. Or maybe we just have to try and play these picks and bans better, because the Adam Warlock seems to be a problem. Are you going to be able to get him and the Jeff in the ban phase? I don't think so. One or the other is going to be making it through. And if you're not, playing with the best heroes in the game right now, you're going to be at a disadvantage the entire time. It's going to be an uphill battle. And Indiana Tech, they bought their climbing boots. They can handle an uphill battle, but it has been smooth sailing, just coasting for them so far.
Coasting, but this is the time to turn the tides. They need to have it brought out from Georgia Tech. Now, whether you want to ban the Adam or you want to ban the Jeff, it's going to come down to which map we see next. And
well, we're gonna.
I don't know if it's ready yet.
We're gonna be going to a quick break while we get that third. Yeah, it gives us the first 2 maps. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go order my blue light glasses, so I'll see y'all.
Yeah, you definitely need some glasses.
No, third map, go. Oh.
No, it's not gonna happen. Go get
one more time.
Go get your glasses. We're gonna throw it to a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we will have that third map, and Keg will have better eyesight when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
Professor CB, Professor CB.
Oh, yes, Keg?
Yes, I have horrible amnesia, and I don't remember what happened last game. I really need your help breaking it down.
Well, I'm glad you asked because I couldn't wait to show this one off. I feel like we glossed over it a little bit too quickly. The scoreboard from the previous map, as we are on the precipice of either a Georgia Tech reverse sweep or an Indiana Tech full sweep, we're looking at the scoreboard right now, and this is a classic case of, the scoreboard doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. It's not always about the KOs versus the deaths. Marvel Rivals at its core, the most important thing is all about timing. Are you in the right place at the right time? Are you doing the right thing at the right time? Do you have the right cooldowns, the right ultimates when you need them? Because you're looking at the losing side there, Georgia Tech. You're seeing 16 final blows for Pajko, 18 for Zoda, and it looks kind of anemic over on the other side. 12 and 10 are the biggest numbers you're seeing on the final hit side for Indiana Tech. But they're very much so winning in the Brains versus Brawn matchup, not just in the hero bans, not just because they have access to the Adam Warlock, but because their timing on these abilities is just better and they're able to capitalize off the space they make with some of these cooldowns when they have them. It's a sign of a very well-coached team to somehow, even in defeat, come out and just outright win and still look strong.
But it makes me wonder now, Georgia Tech have had a small break in between the first two games. Do you think the Brawn versus Brains is going to remain the name of the game for these two teams? Or are we going to see a transition for Brains to Brains? Or Brains versus Brains?
I think it does kind of have to be either a Brains versus Brains, or like I kind of alluded to before the break, you have to kind of double down on the Brawns and try and hope that you could just simply overpower the Brainiacs over on the other side, because, you see the damage numbers, you see the KDs, you can tell that the skill is there, the talent is there, the ability is there, but the timing, the rotations, the team play aren't quite there yet. If there's ever a place where you can get that team play all together, start to coordinate a little bit better, it's going to be Yggdrasil Path.
That's right. This is one of the wildest maps that we have in the game. It's one of my favorites, too. And let me tell you, because we have one team that loves to play Venom, this is a venomous playground for him. I really cannot wait to see how the Vanguards play this one out.
I actually cannot wait to see the picks and bans for this one because luckily I won't have to wait. I'm curious to see if, again, because, this is another strong Adam Warlock map. This is a very strong Doctor Strange map. This is also a potentially good Rocket map. This is where we also see a lot of those triples with the Vanguards and the Strategists. We're not going to see Emma, that much we know for sure, but that's okay. Emma really hasn't had too much of an impact since early on in Hell's Heaven. It's going to get real interesting once we start to see some of these protects, though. That's, I think, going to tell us what we're actually going to see here.
Yeah, initial ban here for Indiana Tech, still the Rocket ban. They've been really on the foresight about understanding how great Rocket is in the meta right now and shutting that down. It's, like you mentioned, these first two reserves going to be instrumentally important. It's the Adam Warlock. We understand how important that is for Indiana's movement. But for Georgia Tech, what are they going to lock in? Because it's always been the Star-Lord, and I think the Star-Lord's only had impact late game.
Well, I think it's easy for you and I up here to just be like, okay, maybe Star-Lord's not the play, but you also, again, it's so easy to take the bait and look at the scoreboard from the last map and be like, well, Pajko was just fragging out on the Star-Lord, so maybe we just kind of keep that one going. I do also like the option of the Hela Protect, though. Hela is kind of strong now that, Phoenix has basically been shot dead in a gutter with the nerfs that came out to her. Still kind of useful, but Hela has overtaken her. We get the Jeff ban, so we're not going to have to worry about both of those things, but yeah, we still have to try and find a way to deal with this Adam Warlock. We have to try and play for these reses a little bit better.
Oh, the Namor ban. That was going to be what I would suggest, but it's just too obvious. And now the Hela Namor team up is not going to be there.
Well, yeah, that does mean you have a little bit of freedom with your front line. You're not going to be locked into the Hela Namor composition, so you can move around a little bit more. Is Indiana Tech going to go for their next Protect again? Going to go for the Doctor Strange Protect, and we didn't see a lot of the teleport plays come out from Hall of Dajalia, but we almost certainly will see them on Yggdrasil Path as they are paramount to just about any hold, especially if you go for the triple Vanguard. Or early on, you just leave the Doctor Strange in the spawn room, and then whoever dies first, make the swap, and then you ensure you'll have another fight coming on. Magneto Protect for the side of Georgia Tech. I don't know.
Magneto found some value.
Magneto definitely found some value, and it does, give you an answer to the other team's Star-Lord, and a little bit of a way to shut down some of these other strategist holds. The Cloak and Dagger ban, I guess, doubling down on the anti-strategist hold thing, but I'm still not quite sure what to make of the Mag ban or the Mag Protect.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just to make sure, like, okay, we need to have double shields here for our pushes. So maybe it's just the idea of shutting down some of the back line for Indiana Tech, forcing more frontline potential, having the Meteor M just in case the Invisible Boundary comes back out again, and the Luna ult, and maybe just a little more of a direct focus for the Duelist to focus onto the Atom Warlock. I could kind of see that in theory. Oh, Convex was toying with the idea of their own Atom.
Well, Convex also toying with the idea of the Mantis, and that's also something that I kind of want to highlight, as we've seen. Okay, everybody just kind of making swaps all over the place here, but Mantis is another one of those heroes that's kind of in a weird spot. She was an insta-ban for a very long time recently in both MRC and Marvel Rivals Ignite because of the things that she could do in these triple strategist lineups, especially alongside the Ultron. But it's not so much of a must ban anymore, as like Adam and Jeff have kind of taken the forefront. So I'm curious if this Ultron Mantis team up, I mean, not really a team up, you're just damage boosting a Mantis, or you're damage boosting an Ultron. No team up required for that, just raw damage. But I'm curious if that combo is actually going to be effective in the current game state. Meanwhile, Indiana Tech, yeah, this looks familiar.
Looks familiar, but outside of the Atom and the Luna, there isn't really a lot of damage that you can apply against Pajko here. So, want more damage capabilities, I think, for the backline off the hands of this Ultron, plus the hands of, like we mentioned, Convex. Not only just damage boosting the Ultron, but really anybody on the front line, I think could be a very good start here.
Another thing I do kind of want to highlight, though, a bit of a weakness in Indiana Tech's composition is that if Raimi is not the first one to fall, you delay that strange teleport from coming out. He has to be the first one to die if you're going to give any ground here for Indiana Tech. So Georgia Tech, I think, identifying that and trying to put as much pressure onto the front line tanks as they possibly can. The Storm from Pajko is going to help damage boost. We've already got a Hand of Khonshu online for Zoda.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And we move away from the Ultron Mantis composition. We're going back to basics for Georgia Tech. But the triple duelist, I think, is a really good change of pace. This is the brawn that I think Georgia Tech, like you mentioned, CB, needs to be doubled down to and find value on. And we certainly do. Georgia Tech have just wiped out Indiana.
There is going to be a strange TP coming out, but again, like I said, Raimi wasn't one of the first ones to fall, so it's going to be a little bit delayed. So we might be able to get around this first corner before that teleport comes out. We've also got an Omega Hurricane. Honestly, for Pajko, I'm curious if you just let this one rip early, or if you try and hold it to try and shut down the Karmic Revival.
Oh, Pajko could maybe get it directly onto this portal. That could be wild. Oh, no! Right on top of the totems with the totems break. That's going to do so much damage, but no one's really there for the follow-up. That could have been perfect for I Do It, but I Do It had fallen, and now the Karmic Revival has no counterplay.
Got to another Hand of Khonshu coming up, though, and the Invisible Boundary is going to buy time for Zoda to build up to that one. Is now with the Fate of Both Worlds coming out, Indiana Tech also going to use the God of Mischief as well, so they're going to have another one coming out. There's that Hand of Khonshu. It splits Indiana Tech in half, but as they reconvene, they're going to be back at full strength.
Reconvene, gotta have a quick meeting, figure out what the heck is going on. That's gonna be Kerbo to use their God of Mischief, but it's Meteor M all the same to attempt to shut down this final judgment. But guess what, buddy? You've been judged. That's gonna be I Do It to shut down P-Dug. And once more, Georgia Tech looking ever so confident than they have so far this series to continue this push.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, not going to be able to take the high ground like we wanted to. A little bit of a miss input
Okay, still
there.
confident.
Yeah, still confident. Strangling Prison, though, coming out. We're going to force out the Fate of Both Worlds. Pajko on the other side with an Omega Hurricane, though. That's absolutely massive.
Storm is wild.
4K for Pajko. And that should be the cap. And speaking of cap, P-Duggy going to make the swap over on some Mr. Freedom himself. But is he even going to be able to get a touch? Pajko says no.
Oh, the Americans forced to run away. That's going to be P1 handedly in the favor of Georgia Tech.
Now we're going to make some swaps over. The Storm no longer going to be necessary, nor will the rest of the spawn break. They can swap over onto what they want to come out here with, which is Pajko on this Ultron. I'm not seeing them swap over onto the Mantis to try and damage boost it. So instead, they're just going to try and go for raw damage with the Ultron and with the Bucky now as well.
I could see that once Convex uses the Invisible Boundary, maybe to swap over to the Mantis there, not to waste the ult. But again, time will tell. See if that's going to be a difference maker. Zoda also swaps over to the Winter Soldier. Raimi takes a wealth of damage and is forced to back away. This shield's not going to last very long. Not able to find a stable position either. Tries to move on down. Wants to find Agamotto directly on top of an ultimate too. That's going to be the Invisible Boundary brought underway. Raimi's not long for this world, and neither is the rest of Indiana Tech. Tech. Karmic Revival is out. What is the counter? Will there be a counter? The answer is no. It is part 2, baby! The Trojan horse is here, and Georgia Tech's forced to run away, except for those stopped in their place. A triple cleanse from I Do It! Forced to play everything. Podsko brings out the Wrath of Ultron. And no, Georgia Tech is looking angry.
It's so perfect, just back-to-back-to-back perfect plays from Georgia Tech Gold. First that Omega Hurricane from Podsko, then the frame-perfect timing on the Invisible Boundary from Convex, and then they wait out the Fate of Both Worlds, they wait out the Karmic Revival, and then I Do It with the biggest Eye of Agamotto that we have seen in quite some time. And now you've got the Kraken Impact as well. You can keep this snowball going. You just have to weather this Galactic Legend. But hey, Meteor M, great way to do it.
Oh, how hell is frozen over. The snowball erupts. It's a Joran to find one off the hands of the Intergalactic Legend. Soda may very well find some impact here off that Kraken Impact, but it's going to have to wait a little while. Everyone's forced to tuck tail and run away.
It's going to be some stagger KOs coming out as well. Zoda's going to fall. Maelstrom of Madness there from Raimi, and now it's going to be a little bit rough. Indiana Tech going to be building up to another Karmic Revival, and Georgia Tech have to try and play that perfect, all of those perfect plays. Like, they're going to have to try and go for essentially that again, while trying to work through the rest of the ult bank from Indiana Tech. They have so much stall potential, as we're going to have another Fate of Both Worlds coming up, and a Freedom Charge for P. Dougie as well. It's going to be a lot to break through, and remember, the walk-up is going to get a lot more hectic here towards the end of Point B.
That's Agamotto number 1. It does find P. Doug, but that's about it. Invisible Boundary in return to keep the space that was created off the hands of the ult. Karmic Revival is back. Where's that Kraken Impact? Will it be found? Wrath of Ultron's also available once again, too. There it is. Kraken Impact not found, though. Oh, there it is! Maybe a little late, but let's see if they can find inside this cave. It is such an awkward position for a group fight, but my god, are they making it work. It is, again, every ultimate under the sun. Sajora, though, overheats and unfortunately gets burned like Icarus.
The bronze are coming to play, though. Just raw damage, able to take down that Galactic Legend there, but the ultimates for the side of Indiana Tech, like, it's just too much for Georgia Tech to be able to overcome, despite the heroics that come out from Podsko. Got P. Dougie going in, super deep, super aggressive, has the support there. Luckily, Indiana Tech have bled the wells dry, and they also lose Twisted there. Zoda with a nice pickoff towards the end, and now with the strange TP, Georgia Tech should be able to parlay this into something. The Meteor M, their only real tool right now, but they've got the momentum in their favor once again.
It's all or nothing now. Portal was used up before OT. 20 seconds left on the clock. If this is not a push that works out well, Georgia Tech will have to say goodbye to their attacking side. Indiana Tech, though, their ult cycling a little bit worse for wear compared to Georgia Tech. Not a lot to work with, but you did mention the Meteor M, now paired with potentially the Wrath of Ultron. Eye of Agamotto comes out, though. P. Dougie, Freedom Charge at the same exact time. How much freedom can we possibly have? One Meteor M's worth. But Do It does have that Agamotto. I'm ready for it to come down and find its celebration. It's only good for one, and the Kraken Impacts that are up top. It's a headshot to start things off. Another Kraken Impact to shove away all of Indiana Tech. But is it enough movement for Georgia Tech to get into the second point? So far, the answer seems to be no, maybe yes. It changes by the second, but one by one, all caught off of position. Indiana Tech have nowhere to go.
Zoda is just a force of nature with that Kraken Impact, and now Jonga gonna tuck tail between legs and try and run, but there is no running, there is no hiding. I Do It is gonna confirm that KO and even deny the cocoon from coming out. Georgia Tech, at the best possible moment, able to come through with the goods, and it only really took a few ults to do it. I gotta give a shout out to Killswitch as well for shutting down the follow-up damage to the Eye of Agamotto with the Meteor M. Such a brilliant way to use that ultimate defensively, and it's enough to keep the momentum going in Georgia Tech's favor, but this could be echoes of what we saw in Hala Jalia. They cannot risk stalling out on point 3 yet again.
Soul Bonds could be available, Karmic Revival, all the same. It is looking just like ult dump after ult dump from both of these teams. It's just who can leverage it more. A Wrath of Ultron will start things off, a fantastic appetizer, but the entree are the strategists. Indiana Tech have been holding on to the whole menu. Wrath of Ultron directly on top of this Karmic Revival. Luckily, though, Fate of Both Worlds protects everybody, so they get unhatched like an egg. And Soldier, though, this could be the moment of truth. Off of the eyes of Agamotto, there is Intergalactic Legend that could very well become a possibility. And from the back, though, Fate of Both Worlds, Severin's there to protect his team, but luckily, though, Zoda does fall. That's not going to be long for the duelists. Convex is back to the Mantis. We haven't seen the ult come through just yet. Sojira, unfortunately, was stalled out after only 1 KO. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and into OT. Georgia Tech have to make a final push, but there's so little to work with. Immediate Rem is out, but one by one, the ultimates fall. The ground is there. Agamotto underway. Play for the stall. A cleanse is out, and this could be the push needed. I'm getting lightheaded looking at all the heroics from each of these players, and yet still, how does Raimi hold on?
On
He's
35
still on the
HP,
goats.
Zoda's gonna come out with a Rotastern shot, shut him down, but look at the health bars of Indiana Tech. They can't hold their ground any longer. They have to try and fall back as Twisted comes out of the spawn to try and heal up P. Dougie, but the pressure is still there. Georgia Tech Gold know that they have struck a wound. They need to keep applying more pressure, but Zoda falls. P. Dougie again with the heroic shot, and suddenly Georgia Tech, they don't have the ults.
But what do? It's raw gunfights. These are two teams that love to use their ults back to back to back to back to back to back. But Kraken Impact could save the day. Zoda's out of position. He's so staggered. It's another Eye of Agamotto into a portal. More cleanses. Completely destroys the back line. Georgia Tech are a skeleton crew, and they have no bones with Pachko in the sky. Only one Vanguard left, and it was not to be. Even off the stagger, Zoda falls.
They're not
Wonderful work.
They're not able to confirm that full capture on Yggdrasil path, but they were able to get themselves past point B, and it was a real dicey situation there. And again, heroics from Zoda and continued heroics from I Do It with those Eye of Agamotto plays coming through back to back to back. Every time homie's got that ultimate, it's a fight win. 29-4 with 12 final blows. The Maelstrom of Madness, the Sorcerer Supreme himself, coming out, and not to be outdone, Raimi on the other side. These Eye of Agamotto plays feel like they're really setting the pace for both teams, but the problem is when you're setting the pace, the team with the Adam Warlock is going to be the one able to dictate that pace however they want. It all falls apart off, again, a Karmic Revival from Jonga, and then Twisted with that Fate of Both Worlds, and not even that, Kerbo also duplicates the Luna Snow, and they go for another Fate of Both Worlds, and it's just too much for Georgia Tech, even with their momentum, even with their brawn, to overcome. Again, they are outbrained.
See, we gotta take a break in between each half and give you a telestrator to break down that entire final point, CB. You could probably spend the next hour yapping about that 20-second frame.
I could, but like honestly, it's the same thing I've said 1,000 times, is you have to try and track down Jonga. You have to make sure he burns the cocoon early, and you have to make sure he's not going to be able to get a good Karmic Revival, and if he does, you have to be ready for it, and it's so difficult to try and tango with not only that, but the Luna and with the Loki as well. Now Indiana Tech on their attack, they're going to try something similar. They're going to bust out the Mantis with the Ultron, try and pressure Georgia Tech back. Interestingly, Georgia Tech not going for the 3-3 composition, still just going for I Do It with a Maelstrom of Madness. Again, the Sorcerer Supreme.
Beautiful work overall. It's Pachko for the shutdown. A defensive Ultron always makes me nervous, but my god, are they making it work. Indiana Tech with a very short shutdown. Jonga immediately beelines back to the Adam Warlock.
They're making wholesale swaps back to what they were able to hold with at the end there. We got the Adam Warlock, we got the Loki, so we have the potential for a double res though. We haven't seen it, and it seems like Indiana Tech, they just want to make sure that they always have a Fate of Both Worlds ready to survive whatever comes through after that Karmic Revival, because remember, it doesn't revive you at full HP. You are still vulnerable to something like, oh, say, a Kraken Impact, but it just hasn't come through because Indiana Tech are one step ahead.
One step ahead. Let's see if it continues to stay that way. A freeze immediately into half of your HP being gone. I Do It does not care. He has full trust in his strategists. They are making it work so well.
It's just, like, it looks so good from Georgia Tech. We said the skill is there, the brawn is there, the talent is there, and right now they're showing it. So they're able to hold with only using the Rage of Ultron. They're going to be coming up on another Eye of Agamotto, and again, every time I Do It uses that ultimate, it's a fight win for Georgia Tech, and they've already bled a minute and a half off the time bank, approaching 2 minutes. And Indiana Tech are coming up with some heavy tools of their own, but Georgia Tech have already done more than enough to call this a successful point A hold.
Oh yeah, this is looking gnarly now. I'm preparing my lungs for what's about to be almost 12 ultimates for a complete flood.
We are
all
about
off
to
the hands
blow,
again.
baby.
Oh yeah. Oh, ships ahead! It begins! The avalanche of ultimates are everywhere! John Jonga barely stays alive, but I'm looking at that Karmic Revival. He's gonna go for the self-res. And surely soon, as bodies start to fall off the hands of this Fate of Both Worlds, Jonga will be able to rely on that off the res. You have to be very careful. Remember though, attacking side, Jonga might not have to use this ultimate just yet. They haven't made that much distance.
We're gonna be the Galactic Legend now coming out. Not gonna be able to find enough as Georgia Tech are able to kite it, but they leave Kill Switch behind, and that's gonna be more ground game for Indiana Tech. it did fall early on in that fight, so he's gonna be in the spawn, ready to posture up for a teleport play. But like you said, they couldn't pressure out Jonga's Karmic Revival. They did pressure out the Cocoon though, so now if they can confirm the KO onto the Adam Warlock, they are safe.
Safe for now.
Oh no!
Wrath of Ultron is out. Oh my god. Portal is out, underway. How does anyone have a wrist at this point? It is just, look at the aim coming out from Sajora. It's unbelievable. Aya Agamotto was out. The brain processing at 110 miles a second. Maelstrom of Madness into a whip. Jonga is gone. No revives necessary. 45 seconds left. Georgia wants to keep them in the fray. It's not over yet. Our bodies are gone. Indiana Tech, this has to be your chance to get P1.
Yeah, they're gonna have to give it up. Zoda's gonna have to back off. Give up the first cap though. Try and play for second while they still have good spawns though. 3 minutes gonna be in the time bank, but that's still winnable for Georgia Tech Gold. They can still hold this, but now Jonga is gonna have the Cocoon again, so you're back to that same conundrum. You gotta KO the Adam Warlock twice. Once is not good enough.
Zoda is close enough to getting that crack and impact. Could very well create some extra distance off of Indiana Tech, but again, it's these beginnings that have always been a big struggle. Now that Jonga has a lot more eyes on him, the pressure is out, making sure that this strategist can stay alive. It's incredibly difficult to work off of this positioning, a crack and impact, smashing down against everybody on this team. But guess what, Jonga? A little preemptive Karmic Revival is out on top of Fate of Both Worlds. You're able to survive, baby!
Fate of Both Worlds coming out from Georgia Tech to try and keep the last remnants alive. Aya Agamotto gonna come out from Raimi, and P. Dougie is there with the damage. That's going to be Georgia Tech Gold's defense temporarily crumbling. A little bit of a late stagger there from Kill Switch. I like that. Stall out the cart and stop Indiana Tech from getting more progress. They're going to have the space to move up and try and hold this choke now, but the cart's going to be lagging behind. So Georgia Tech Gold, thanks to Kill Switch there, have bought themselves some time. And with these Vanguard ultimates, could potentially buy themselves control of the cart again. I think if you're Georgia Tech, your best bet is you try to go for the point B stall. You don't want to risk this going into OT with the cart threatening a full cap. Because remember, you did not get that full cap. If Indiana Tech get even close, it's a win.
Oh, CB, I was going to mention this area, this choke point was so tough for Indiana's defense. Georgia just couldn't make it forwards. And now we're seeing the same meltdown again. It's anyone goes, and we're seeing P. Dougie barely survive. He's able to hold on to his full HP. I say barely, but he is doing such a great job. Meteor M is out. Assassination from Kill Switch. That's the backline gone.
That's disgusting. That was not a meteor. That was an extinction event that comes out from Kill Switch. And a little bit of mag cannon damage as well. Yeah, goodbye, Indiana Tech. I mean, Indiana Tech, their mascot ain't the dinosaurs, but they've definitely been fossilized courtesy of the Homo Superior, their Kill Switch. And now they still have the Kraken Impact as well and the Rage of Ultron. They just have to try and burn through Twisted's Fate of Both Worlds, and they should be able to get this into OT. But can Georgia Tech get the full hold? Rage of Ultron comes out, already forces out that Fate of Both Worlds.
All right, let's see what the Fate of Both Worlds can do. You're not going to rely on that Karmic Revival to have that protection factor anymore, so you got to be very dang careful about what comes out instead. Punches go through. Aya Agamotto is available, but guess what? Your doppelganger does it instead. You look behind, you go, huh? Maelstrom of Madness, maybe? Kraken Impact to the face. Things are looking good for Indiana Tech. They're slowly chipping away. The goats making their way to the door. Raimi's out. Zoda's gone. And through it all, overtime has been hit. But what's it looking like for Indiana Tech? It's looking pretty good. Georgia Tech have lost almost half of their team. They're staggered completely. Meteor M finds at least 2 to help leverage the odds. Jonga brought out the Karmic Revival, but it was only for himself.
Yeah, Jonga used the Karmic Revival and then also had to use the Cocoon and didn't actually get any reses off that Karmic Revival. I don't know if Georgia Tech are going to be able to get a touch here. They're definitely playing for it, and they want to try and go for the contest here. Rimey's trying to hold the door there. Soul Resurgence is now going to come out from Convex, and Georgia Tech think they still have a dog in this fight. But as the God of Mischief comes out, there's a Fateable Worlds on the side of Indiana Tech, and the fight may be over before it begins. Jonga taking down Severin. We're going to have that strange TP now coming out to keep the soldiers on the front lines over and over again, but the front line is a bloodbath as Twisted finds two, and we're gonna finally see Georgia Tech forced to concede and play for third.
That's right, bodies are lost left and right. No longer able to hold the final point to see if Indiana Tech can go for the 3-0 against Georgia Tech Gold and make probably the biggest upset of the entirety of NECC this season.
The problem here is Georgia Tech Gold invested the Soul Resurgence and also invested some of their other ultimates before that fight and also to try and make that fight happen, and they're not actually able to win it outright, so now they're behind the 8-ball, and they don't really have a lot of space to make up for it. The spawn advantage will be in their favor once the cart rounds this second corner that you see here on the screen right there in front of P. Dougie, but Indiana Tech can set the pace. I have Agamotto from iDoit to try and shut it down.
I'm worried about the panic ultimates now. Aya Agamotto was out, Sajora on top though, in return gets 3. He's woken up. That's my intergalactic legend.
That's going to be another stagger KO that comes out potentially. Yeah, that's a late one there for the Luna Snow, and now, I mean, Indiana Tech, they can just hold the door. Georgia Tech, they weren't able to force them to spend. Oh no, the portal that locked them in the front door. It might be over. Rage of Ultron gonna have to come out from Pachko just to try and buy Georgia Tech anything, but the Meteor M shuts him down.
Oh no, it's chaos raining down. It's not looking good for Georgia Tech. They've been studious, they've learned, but they haven't gone past Jonga and the revives. That's Zoda gone, one of the main pillars of your attack. And what do you do if you have nothing to attack with? Everyone's falling left and right. Pachko's gone to strategist. Severin's gone to heaven. Pachko cannot win the 1v1 duel. And through it all, a fate of both worlds to extend the space. PP does it again. He's activated the kill switch. Jonga with the revive. 1.5 meters left. And Indiana Tech can certainly do this. And there it is, the staple of Indiana Tech, another Karmic Revival.
I have Agamotto
on top. More the Maelstrom of Madness, CB.
Freedom Charge not going to come online for I Do It. Convex not going to be able to make it out of the spawn. And the fate of both worlds coming out off of that God of Mischief from Kerbo. Just a little bit of K-pop celebration music coming out from Indiana Tech as they sweep Georgia Tech Gold 3-0. We were asking, how evenly matched is this division? How close is the middle of the pack in this group? And the answer is not at all what we would have expected. We would have thought that Georgia Tech Gold were going to come out swinging. We would have thought that their raw talent, their potential would carry them all the way. But on this day, brains beat bronze. It was the studious members of Indiana Tech that were able to come through with the Adam Warlock revivals over and over again. The big damage, the big plays when it mattered against a game Georgia Tech and put them 6 feet under.
Unbelievable work from Indiana Tech, and I'm so proud about how well each and every single member, not just of the lobby, played, but of Indiana Tech specifically. Every single player had their highlight moments. 52 assists from Kerbo. We talked about Twist a lot. We talked about Jonga, of course, with their ults working so well in tandem. But Kerbo was laying down the line game after game. 52, almost 53,000 heals in this last game alone. It was so instrumental for the success of Indiana Tech.
And it's the same scoreboard that we were talking about from the previous map. You know, you're looking at Zoda with 21 final blows, 17 for I Do It, 18 for Pachko over there on the Ultron. It's disgusting stuff from Georgia Tech. Like, again, the talent is there. They are so mechanically gifted over there. But they have to win 2 fights in order to win 1 if they can't deal with Jonga on the Adam Warlock. And even barring that, you know, you're up against a Loki and a Luna Snow. So that res is always going to be supplemented with healing. You're never going to be able to break through it, even with that Kraken impact. Like, realistically, your only snowball's chance in hell of being able to shut that down is landing a Meteor M right on top of a 6-stack res. And that ain't happening anytime soon, because you know, like...
You say that now. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. We were seeing some big Meteor M's coming out from Kill Switch, but not quite that big, you know? And again, it's all about the timing. It's all about the ult rotations. It's all about tracking what your opponent has and making sure that you are using just enough to be able to deal with it. And then also what comes next. Are you able to get the better of those rotations? And unfortunately for Georgia Tech, they just weren't able to. It's so hard when you're playing up against an Adam Warlock. You're setting yourself up for failure every time you use too many ults just to try and track Jonga down, even to kill him once, and then he's got the cocoon.
You look, maybe this means that we'll finally start to see more Adam Warlock inside the collegiate scene for Marvel Rivals. Now's the time to do it. After Jonga's heroics, I think every other team's going to start picking up on what Indiana Tech are putting down, and that's just going to make Division 1 even closer than it already was.
And I'm looking forward to seeing where Division 1 goes from here, because this is what the middle of the pack looks like, and we're seeing all-star level performances coming out from both sides, and still a 3-0 for Indiana Tech. Again, a team that we kind of didn't favor as heavily because of the win-loss record so far, but now they're at 2-2, and they keep their playoff hopes alive. So maybe some of those other teams, even the ones above them that did best them, are going to be looking at them and saying, okay, this Adam Warlock strategy, it's got some legs. Maybe we need to step our Jeff game up, because I'm of the mind right now that the Jeff comp does beat the Adam Warlock comp. But are your picks and bans going to be ready for that? Is your strategy going to be ready for that? You got a good Jeff player?
I would hope so. I mean, there's a lot of studious Jeffs out there, maybe even 160 hours worth of Jeffage itself. But what if I told you that even though we had so much fun here today with Division 1 and Division 4 for Marvel Rivals, there's so many other games where you can have some wild action too. But of course, you have Rainbow Six tomorrow, League of Legends on Thursday, Overwatch 2 on Friday, and you can do whatever you want on the weekend. People don't study those days. But of course, we want to thank Wenzel's, Buy Blue Light, and Extron Rocket League for how incredible this league has become and has been evolving so far. And if this is the beginning of the season, my God, CB, I can only imagine what it's going to look like 2, 3, 4 months, even years from now.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be getting a lot more heated here, and I can't wait to see how things evolve, even just through this stage that we're in currently. And we're halfway through it, and like I said, Indiana Tech gonna get themselves up at 2-2. Unfortunately, Georgia Tech Gold's gonna start to slide on down those leaderboards. But an interesting picture is being painted in Division 1, and I cannot wait to see what it's like come playoff times. And I also can't wait to see what it's like when we start to get even more schools involved, more Tier 1 talent. Give me more of this Marvel Rivals actions. I crave it. Inject it into my veins with an IV drip.
Yeah, I mean, we are full-on addicted, but luckily, though, we have a little bit of time to rehabilitate ourselves and quietly despawn for the next 2 weeks until we come back again for NECC. So you won't want to miss it. We'll be back again in 2 weeks on Tuesday, and of course, we'll have NECC every Tuesday as well with our other amazing commentators. Don't go anywhere. More amazing action for NECC to come. We will see you next week and tomorrow if you're a big fan of Rainbow Six, so have a good night.
I don't know why I let you, but you had to light a spark in me. Lost control, falling over, getting pulled in by your gravity. Thought that I had figured it out, never felt it rationally, but this sense of urgency has me